And now it begins.
Watch out for all surprises.
Not, how's it going? Did you have time for class? But I do believe by accident. Harsh MX, how's it going, guys? MX, I didn't actually have time to watch it yet. I didn't end up watching it this morning. I intended to, I just didn't get the chance to. I'll probably end up watching it tomorrow after stream or something. If you guys want, we can just watch it in VC. If you guys want to watch it with me, I'll let you know when I'm watching it. Better than episode 1? Wrong. Then you didn't watch episode 1 correctly. That is the best episode of this season. I do not care what comes next. It is objectively the best.
When there's a beginning, there's an ending too. As we go with
a throw, a comforter, a bed sheet, okay, to drill, to a countersink, bore, correct, okay, whoa, MX, don't make it sexual, why you gotta make it all weird? I just like the animation. Kami, how's it going, man? By the way, Kami, seriously, genuinely, don't ever use that song again. That I sent it in Discord, whatever that one was. Holy shit. It got it banned off damn near every country on the fucking planet. And it was used so often, I can't even turn off the fucking song. I can't even quiet the song because it's used so often. YouTube is like, I'm not editing all that, bro. It's not worth it. So, like, that fucking VOD is just cooked. Like, no one's gonna have access to it. There's another new song. Oh, Jesus, fuck. So, hashtag bleep Kawi, true. Okay. A ream of paper, a bundle of paper, a sheet of paper, and a... Episode 3 was better. Was better? Okay, nice. Aware is dead in a ditch. He's probably just... Did this motherfucker say stalling? Because I started at 12? There's no way. Kami, really? So this is not you? At exactly 12? When I started stream at 12? Is this not you? This must be an imposter then, we must ban them. Has someone hacked your account? What is this stand-up song, bro? When was this last used? I don't know, just... When did we use this yesterday? When did we use it? Oh, if it's a Bleach song, don't use that. Oh. What's your opinion about how much was skipped between 7 and 8? Volumes? What, the time skip you're referring to? The month? I don't like it a lot. Because I feel like there's a lot of things that could have been addressed in that time frame, but given how many chapters are left, I get why he had to do it. I don't know if he was in a rush or someone was forcing him to finish in a certain number of chapters, or if there was some kind of external implications like this, but if not, then it feels a little rushed. MX fake fan for real? Wow, going to sleep? Nah, I'm just kidding. Have a good night, buddy. The Jordan of papers, the Rolls Royce of something, I don't know, bro. I know it, Max. I'm just fucking with you, buddy. Go on, go to bed. So logically, you would think this, but because now the question is, do these 3 small holes and this big one, do they equal out? I'm gonna guess they do. Oh. With chapter, Harsh, my thought process was to just go 15 chapters because that'll put me midway to the ending then, compared to where we are now. But obviously if there's like a specific place we should stop, then we can do that as well. Pushkar! My greatest general. My Odysseus. Of course that makes me Agamemnon, that makes me a bum, so I don't particularly love that, but you know, it is what it is at this point. Oh, that reminds me, did anyone watch the Odyssey premiere? Any of y'all watch the Odyssey? How was that, the volume 17? I'm not gonna lie, I missed, like, I didn't realize what was happening for a while. For a solid minute. What? What is this? Evening! How's it going? Sorry, I know I was supposed to join you guys back, but after breakfast I just ended up spending some time with my family because I was like, bro, I'm gonna be gone for another like 4 hours now, so I should not be a lazy bitch and actually spend some time with these people. Is Red in the world too? I thought Red wasn't playing. I thought is Red on the server? I built a bridge. Nice. He tried joining but wasn't fully able. Oh, so me and Red could... So if I join like tomorrow, me and Red could join at the same time, so I don't feel like super far behind. Okay, that can work. Because I'll be done streaming it tomorrow afternoon, and I can just play. Oh, I'm so excited to be finished, and also excited and also sad, obviously, but we need to wait for the server owner to wake up. Oh, okay, no worries, no worries. Is it Shimo? Who owns the server? Is it Bullseye? Don't tell me it's Bullseye. Hello, Dr. Z. She was here at the start, and now she gets to be here at the end. Oh, it's Kira's. Am I crazy or am I playing pretty good today? Like, I feel like I'm playing pretty decent today. Yes, it is, Dr. Z. Fuck! Now, it feels like it's gonna be some kind of smother mate, but... Fuck. Alright, let's just do this really quickly and then we can start. Chris isn't here yet, is he? Yeah, Chris isn't here yet, so I don't know what chapter we're going to today, but we'll start. Hopefully he'll be here soon. I like my prediction. Sid, how's it going? I like my prediction, Plague. I do think my guess is that Adam sacrifices himself. To what extent? I don't know. Like, I don't know if he fully dies or if it's some like. Adam will be able to be reborn, but it will take certain time or whatever. But I feel like to a degree, Adam sacrifices himself, and only for like a delay, basically, like not a solving of this outer gods problem. It's just gonna be like we've basically like rebuilt another barrier or some bullshit, and we'll try to figure out something in the next fucking 1,000 years or whatever that the barrier will hold, and we'll do this shit again. What about Lumion? What'll happen to him? I think Lumion basically gets the ending that they wanted, that's been prescribed by Mr. Fool. He's able to get, he's able to become like a you know, quasi great old one, him, Jenna, and Aurora can exist but not simultaneously, sort of thing. I don't know to what extent that's a happy or sad ending. It's weird because obviously he wanted to. What is happening? Sorry, I'm being so stupid. Hold on. So like I don't know to what extent it's a happy ending because obviously he wanted to spend time with his sister again, but to what extent that happens is. The B in beginning isn't capitalized. Get fucking rolled, idiot. He was just gonna wait at 17 because he thought, oh well, doesn't have any wrongs and I have a wrong, so he's gonna win. But I clutched it out at the last second. Get fucking rolled. How do you like volume 6 and 7? Volume 6 felt like it was dragging Dr. Z. Like, I love the concept of it. Obviously, waking up Klein is like what we've been waiting for all of all of COI. So, like, that was cool in that sense, but fuck, it felt so draggy. So much of it was like slow, agonizingly slow. Volume 7 was good. I like 7. I don't really have any notes for 7. 7 was good. You know what I'm realizing? I don't know if it's doing this, but maybe, what if YouTube is putting the stream on as a vertical stream? You know how you can stream in like the vertical form as well? Because if it's putting out the stream in that form, I don't think I am, but I mean, it's possible that I'm missing a thing there. Yeah, like in shorts, right? Like you've seen, like when you've been scrolling shorts, you'll get like those live streams, right? I'm wondering if YouTube is somehow putting up the stream and live stream shorts, and if that's the case, that would make sense why the viewers skyrocket, but I don't get much comments or anything, because if you're watching in shorts, I can't imagine you're commenting. I don't know, because I've never watched a single shorts. Chinese vendors, yeah. But like maybe that could be the reason. I don't know what's happening with the streams recently. Like, don't get me wrong. Bigger number, better person, so I'm happier for it. Don't get me wrong. See her, how's it going? I've always found it odd how there was no reaction after seeing. I agree too. Like, there was just that moment felt like Cuttlefish didn't give it quite the gravitas that he should have. My guess is Amon decided to watch you. I am that important, and the Angel of Redemption would love a sinner like me, so that would make sense. Yes, I'm joining. The stats were accurate here, like it showed according to the viewers that were there. I don't know what's happening with it, but that's what it showed. Holy shit, boys. And now it begins. As Franca watched the crimson moon rise inch by inch, a chill ran down her spine. She felt as if her darkening flaxen-colored hair was growing alongside with it. What now? She couldn't help but glance at Lumion. After becoming a demoness of catastrophe, she had a vague understanding of Lumion's intended actions. Essentially, the plan was this. With the help of various forces of the Western continent, Lumion would attempt to become the origins of disaster, calamity of destruction, before the Mother Goddess of Depravity fully accommodated the Broodhive. Then, leveraging the symbolic connection between Lilith and Amibella, he would slay this true god to destroy the newly reborn Amibella, thereby provoking the Broodhive into rebelling against the Mother. But wouldn't that make the Mother more likely to integrate with him? Because wouldn't the Broodhive then say, this son of a bitch killed my daughter, I want to kill him, and the only way I can do that is by joining with the Mother? Why would it rebel against the Mother for that? Finally, he would seize the opportunity during their confrontation to wound the Mother, heavily damage the pillar, and drive her out of the barrier. Once this plan commenced, every second would count. Lilith's voluntary death would rapidly lead to the fragmentation of the barrier. Lumion would only have a fleeting window to wound and banish the Mother before returning to the barrier himself to take the Earth Mother's place. Failing this, the entire situation would collapse and the apocalypse would arrive. Crowish, I don't think I've seen you here before, man. How you doing? If the plan succeeded, Lumion, now having transcended the sequences, would sustain the barrier and buy 2 or 3 more years. By then, Mr. Fool would truly awaken. Lift the seals around the Western continent and allow more great old ones to emerge. Franca had 2 major concerns. First, Lilith's fall to the shattering of the astral barrier. The window may be mere seconds. Could Lumion truly injure the Mother? A pillar? Second, even if he somehow could do this, could he already be in a precarious balance and prone to the occasional bouts of lucidity, remain stable enough after forcibly accommodating the City of Calamity long enough to maintain the barrier? Now, Franca realized she didn't need to worry, because their plan was doomed before it even began. The Mother was about to fully accommodate the Broodhive. But I often watch the VODs. Oh, well, thanks for joining, man. Leaving nothing capable of restraining her. At this moment, they could kill the Earth Mother and reignite the Broodhive's rebellious instincts to buy more time for Lumion to accommodate the City of Calamity. But who would then reinforce the barrier and halt the outer deity's invasion? It was death either way, yet Lumion smiled and said, as long as there's a chance, there's still a way. I'm using 2 new songs again, so we'll see if this gets nuked. Absolutely, yeah. Nowhere else to try stuff except the biggest streams. That's where you want to really test new shit and nuke it so that no one else can see it after the fact. I agree. As he spoke, the scenery around them shifted from growing trees to weeds in the villa in the protected zone. Still away? Franca, affected by Lumion's calm and resolute demeanor, felt her panic subside. Do you want someone to record the stream? Seer, it's not that. YouTube records it. The problem is it's with certain songs, depending on how they're copyrighted, will block the VOD. And I can't mute just the music. If the music gets used often enough, normally if the music is just used occasionally, YouTube can auto-edit just the music out and keep my voice and stuff. But if the music gets used often enough, YouTube says, listen, it's too much editing, we're not going to do that. Fuck all that noise. It's too much weight on our servers. Like, it's just not worth it. Lumion nodded. Take Anthony and Ludwig and go to Madam Magician's place immediately. Follow her instructions. I'll be Mr. Fool above the Grey Fog. Alright. How is he going to meet Mr. Fool? You're not a member of the Tarot Club anymore. He stepped forward, embracing Lumen's She stepped forward, embracing Lumen's asymmetrical body for a moment, straightening, then extending her hand and offering a smile. May we stay safe, and may you succeed. They gave a high five, and Lumen stared at Franca for a few seconds, then turned to ascend the staircase. The grey fog around him had begun to swirl. Only then, Lumen's figure faded. Did Franca wipe her eyes, her expression calm as she turned to face Anthony and Ludwig. We need to relocate, Franca said. At the same time, many high-level figures in the protected zone sensed an ominous premonition. Bernadette swiftly produced her magic wishing lamp. Even before she could stroke the lamp's surface, golden light burst, and the genie's voice reverberated. I warned them that my sister's accommodation would be faster than expected. Why did they not act? Fate is only a baseline. Blind faith in its revelations invites backlash. As a former clairvoyant, Bernadette understood the genie's meaning. Fate's guidance was undoubtedly correct, but only provided a baseline. For instance, in this case, fate may have hinted there would be no major problems within the month, but it wouldn't reveal that the apocalypse would strike immediately after. Similarly, fate may suggest there's still hope and an opportunity a month from now, but wouldn't warn that acting earlier could yield better chances. After a moment of silence, Bernadette replied, perhaps it is precisely because fate is so enigmatic that we have a chance. Above the grey fog, Lumion appeared and addressed Mr. Fool. The mother will fully accommodate the broodhive in at most half an hour. Why didn't we notice any signs? Don't panic, Mr. Fool said. This was accounted for in our contingency plans. If we can't wait for the optimal moment, even a moderate or slightly worse opportunity is an opportunity. I agree, Lumen smiled. The time had come. For him, a journey filled with pain and torment was reaching its end. The sense of relief outweighed everything else. This is unironically me, though. I feel like this is a lot of people, and it's super depressing. Whenever something good happens, or like, I accomplish something, I don't feel any sense of joy. All I feel is a sense of relief, like, I didn't fail. That's literally all I get. My dopamine receptors are literally fried into fucking oblivion. It's so cooked. Honorable Mr. Fool, let us begin. May all go smoothly, and may we meet again. Mr. Fool stood, removing his top hat and placing it over his chest with a bow. Moments later, a figure pierced through the grey fog and entered the palace. It was the voluptuous and beautiful Lilith, holding an invisible infant, radiating with maternal grace. She arrived through a dream tied to the Divine Kingdom, affiliated with Cipher Castle. Is it time? She asked. Her demeanor mirrored Lumion's, her smile much the same. Before Mr. Fool could respond, Lilith looked at Lumion and said, so it's him who will kill me. I see. That is how it should be. You have performance anxiety? Fuck no, I perform way better under pressure. I'm like, as soon as like there's pressure, I lock in. I'm like, okay, like my instincts feel sharper. I feel way more clear-headed. Like I do not have, I have literally the opposite of that. Thank you. She even offered Lumion her thanks, and then urged, let us begin. Time is of the essence. Lumion glanced at Mr. Fool, who nodded, then moved to the bottom of the bronze table, turning the chair representing the world to face Lilith. On the chair sat a card depicting the Empress Roselle, the mother card of blasphemy. Lumion picked up the card and sat in Mr. Fool and sat in the world's seat. To his sides, the flawless Zadis and the withered tree remains of Amibella appeared. In the next moment, Zadis, under Lumion's command, opened his mouth and called out, Mother! Hearing this title, Lumion smiled. Yes, the role he would act next was that of the Mother Goddess of Depravity. He's going to basically trick everyone into thinking the Mother Goddess of Depravity was the one that killed Amibella, Lilith, but Amibella, and then hence the broodhive is going to resist her harder? Oh, I get the reason. Okay. This wasn't a fabricated symbolism, but something the mother herself acknowledged and had personally forged. This wasn't a fabricated symbolism, but something the mother. From containing fragments of Zetas' soul and core due to fusing Amibella's bloodline in Trier, LEMMiNO had become the motherly vessel for these two divine offspring, a counterpart to Polly in secret. Subsequent events had reinforced this role. Thus, when drawing for a major arcana card, the first he drew was the world. Thus, in the mirror world, his encounter with a calamity representing the primordial demoness and the mirrored original one would allow Amibella to manifest in reality. I feel bad for Amibella. I don't. Fuck that. Fuck her. God. Fuck that bitch. This was a sanctioned act, a symbolic connection recognized by the original. Since, during the descent of the Crimson Moon, the mother goddess of depravity had been fooled, failing to kill LEMMiNO immediately to sever the connection, he could now exploit it. To strengthen this, LEMMiNO had deliberately incorporated Zetas into his legion in exchange for Amibella's remains, to ensuring their acknowledgement of him as mother. The mother card provided by Mr. Fool solidified the connection further. Glancing at the gift of the land which nestled close to him, LEMMiNO closed his eyes and recalled the words of the demoness Cheek. Who you are is not important. What you wish to do is not either. What's important is the role you play. LEMMiNO smiled and signaled Amibella's remains to merge with Lilith. Overlapping the two, sitting in the world seat, LEMMiNO smiled and conjured colorless flames. Who I am, it does not matter, nor does anything else. What matters is the role I play, but what I want to do matters just as much. In this thought, LEMMiNO rose, unleashing the two opposing flames. They intertwined and struck Lilith and Amibella. Now I am acting as the mother, and what I want is to kill my daughter, Amibella. Dude, the chapter titles have become so peak now. Hold on, I'm gonna start putting the titles back on, because this is so peak. This is such a cool title. It has to be here. Can't miss this one. As LEMMiNO rose to his feet, Lilith sighed. She raised her hand with a smile, smoothing her hair. Change music on your end? I'll pause room? Yeah, just tell me when. It was as if she had returned to the state when she was one of the 8 ancient gods. Back then, she was the most beautiful woman, the most beautiful creature and deity in the universe. Almost simultaneously, she sensed the gift of the land shrinking, startled and frightened. She saw Mr. Fool, who was standing, raising both hands. The trench coat he flared, as if caught in a wind. Fooled, both LEMMiNO and Lilith's symbolic connections were valid and strong, and without needing further aid, Mr. Fool's sole task was to now fool the broodhive, ensuring it remained convinced. In the next moment, Lilith foresaw the colorless flames LEMMiNO had conjured with the freezing black flame, forming the fire of destruction. It elongated into a massive sword which struck the remains of Amibella and Lilith. Lilith offered no resistance, nor did the gift of the land. Lilith smiled, a smile as radiant as the moonlight, as tender as the earth. Amibella's remains were the first to shatter, the lingering spirit and spirituality within them swallowed by the flames of destruction. Pieces of broken wood flung in all directions, charred black, some reduced to ash. Lilith's expression twisted, a reflection of the pain she felt. Her body split open, crumbling into brown light that scattered across the sky. Her immense vitality struggled to reassemble the fragments, but couldn't overcome the destruction and chaos. Within seconds, the orb of light fell to the Grand Palace's floor, and Lilith's consciousness dissipated. Her final vision was that of LEMMiNO and Mr. Fool bowing. She smiled again. Outside the barrier, at the astral barrier, under the influence of the connection of the falsehood becoming truth, and the dormant body of Lilith beginning to collapse, consumed by the flames that annihilated all, returning to the primordial. A crimson moon once again rose high in the world of ruins, accompanied by a mass of brown soil sprouting grass, grains, trees, and mushrooms, and reproductive organs. Aran! Lilith, the ancestor of the Sanguine, had fallen. Soon the crimson moon and the brown soil plummeted, streaking the sky with red and brown as they descended into the protected barrier. Grafting. Bro, can I say it? Gods are dying like flies around here. On the western horizon, the larger, blood-red moon that had just begun to rise through the fog exhibited rapid upheaval. A prominent bulge surged as if the moon's crust was shifting, forming a mountain. Ayane! The mountain wriggled, resembling both a bird's nest and a womb. The brood hive, whose dissipating consciousness had been rekindled by intense hatred and mystical stimulation, became active once again. The ascent of the enormous moon came to a halt, even showing signs of sinking into the depths. Lilith's death had not been in vain. The complete fusion of the mother and the brood hive had been delayed. At the astral barrier, the Earth Mother support gone. 8 of the surrounding colors became more flared with extreme brilliance. They expanded, pressing against the barrier like terrifying eyes peering in. Bro, do these loser fucks have nothing to do on their own planets? They're all just like, another one died, get him, boys. Like, nothing? You're doing nothing. You got 0 hoes on your own planet. You got 0 bitches on your own planet. Nothing. It's just a God fell. Break the barrier. Nothing else. Jesus. God. Give me a break. This signified that the invisible barrier had developed deep cracks with mere seconds of durability left. Once shattered, the outer deities would tear apart the entire planet. Among them, some deities bore symbols far less gentle than the mother. Within the protected zone, Will Ossipton, residing in the southern continent, raised his hand to gaze at the night sky and sighed, "What's destined to come will come." He appeared as a young boy, but his hair had grown silver, and beside him, Azek nodded. Death is not the end. Even true death itself will pass away. At that moment, all entities within the zone heard the warning of fate, a symphony heralding the arrival of death, all powerless to stop it. Meanwhile, in the Grand Palace above the grey fog, Mr. Fool Klein nodded at Lumion and stepped forward. He entered the astral realm, his figure growing vast, neither abstracted nor reduced to mere symbols. More than a month earlier, Klein had already completed his confrontation and fusion of the celestial worthy, truly accommodating Cipher Castle. Hold on? He cooking? Shadow! The acceleration of Klein's progress was due to the Mother's actions, her attempt to revive the primordial God Almighty through the mirrored original creator and the subsequent birth of Amibala. While these moves brought immense gains to the Mother, they had drawbacks as well. They agitated the celestial worthy, who understood the terror of the original creator and the hatred of the primordial God Almighty bore towards him. Forced to compromise, the celestial worthy chose to compromise and withdraw. Although this meant ceding the contest to Klein, he believed that in the grand scheme, over tens of thousands or millions of years, he would win. But should the original creator or the primordial return, all hope would be lost. So that means Klein is at least at peak strength for like a couple thousand years. Maybe way longer. To hasten the Celestial's withdrawal, Klein made some concessions, achieving a more thorough fusion in certain aspects. Thus, on June 25th, 1360, Klein Moretti completed his confrontation and fusion of the Celestial Worthy, accommodating Cipher Castle as a single pathway deity, the Fool. For over a month, the fully awakened Fool Klein had refrained from immediate action, sharing the true state with Lumion, the goddess, and Will Ossipton, and waiting and covertly preparing. The magician didn't perform unprepared. Lumion's actions visiting Medici, retrieving 001, and dealing with Cheek had happened only at the end of June for a critical reason. He had awaited the awakening of the Fool. That's why Ouroboros sensed the opportunity had slipped away, and that he wouldn't be able to become the deity of the fate pathway in the near future. He said, God damn it, that Will Ossip, that fucker's got that guy. He's got that shit on, brother. I can't beat him. That is why the blessings granted by Will could enable the scene transplantation of the Box of the Great Old Ones. It was finally the right moment. With the help of the Fool, he accommodated the die of probability, the uniqueness of the fate pathway. That's why Lumion, under the guise of seeking divinations, visited the god of knowledge and wisdom and Queen Mystic on behalf of the Fool. Klein and Lumion's original plan was that the latter accommodated the City of Calamity and would leverage the symbolic symbol to kill Lilith. During the confrontation between the Broodhive and the Mother, Klein would enter the astral world, retrieve the uniqueness of Aaron Door, along with the corresponding characteristics, and truly ascend to become the Lord of Mysteries. As a pillar, he would replace Lilith in maintaining the barrier. God damn! Oh shit! Oh shit! This approach would ensure the barrier's stability for at least another 3 to 5 years. Bro, I love it. 2 gods died, and we're like, but we have a pillar. 2 gods died, but a pillar. So this is way better. Sacrifice them. Who cares? That is why Klein had chosen not to ascend to the Lord of the Mysteries at the time to directly confront the Mother. If he had taken back the uniquenesses linked to Gehrman, the barrier would have collapsed within 3 seconds, even if Lilith hadn't fallen. Simultaneously, Klein could now remotely assist Lumion. Now, the origins of disaster against the Mother Goddess of Depravity would be suffering a backlash against the Broodhive, increasing their chances of victory greatly. With the barrier stabilized, the battle wouldn't have a time constraint. Once the Mother was driven from the barrier, the Lord of Mysteries could lift the seals and aid the birth of more above the sequences. With him present, the deities could take turns leaving the barrier without fear of its collapse. Why would they want to leave? However, to stabilize Klein and prevent him from exploding uncontrollably as a great old dominator after accommodating the City of Calamity, the Fool chose to wait another month. This caused them to miss the optimal opportunity, though it may not have been optimal and could very well have been the worst possible time. Since the best timing was no longer available, they now had to act quickly and give Lumion a chance to accommodate the City of Calamity before the Mother could accommodate the Broodhive. At the astral barrier, the figure of Gehrman, who had been waiting, emerged with a star-encrusted cane and the black gloves and stepped in front of the Fool. His expression cold, revealed a faint smile, and merged with the Fool's figure. The two became one. The Fool's body collapsed inward within the depths of his trench coat. A glowing bluish-black door seemed to flicker in and out of existence. The encrusted cane and black gloves collapsed in as well, forming a vortex within the trench coat. A terrifying vortex. Every gust of wind, every droplet of water and ray of light in the vortex consisting of writhing worms, segmented insects, and tiny starlit creatures. Within seconds, the vortex was devoured, and the back of the trenchcoat became an seemingly infinite abyss, containing an entire universe, and a spirit world connected to every planet. As the transformation occurred, the grey fog rapidly spread through the world of the ruins, enveloping the entire planet and all living beings. Beyond the barrier in the boundless universe, the grey fog began to spread as though no one could say when it had started. Living beings within the fog either became dull-witted, filled with cunning, or inexplicably transported to the place they knew most intimately. Numerous rules malfunctioned and symbols fooled, the pressure of the deities stagnated, and time itself had come to a halt. At the barrier within the darkness, inside the trenchcoat, smooth tentacles inscribed with patterns emerged, slipping into the black gloves at the sleeves and lifting the star-encrusted cane. Next, under the silk half-top hat, a slow face emerged from the darkness, a face with black hair and brown eyes. It was Klein Moretti. The Lord of Mysteries was born. The ruler of the spirit world himself had returned. It's so pink! The sheer containment it took for me to not geek out until I finished reading that was so big! Oh my god! Oh my god, it was so peak. Oh, you guys don't understand. I got that. Oh, he got that shit on, boys. He got that fucking shit on. At the deep, terrifying cracks in the barrier, the grey fog began to spread. The fog obscured the fissures, rendering them invisible and untouchable. It was as if they no longer existed, and the barrier had stabilized. The Lord of Mysteries, where truth became falsehood and falsehood became truth. This time, the outer deities beyond the barrier did not retreat. Next music, yeah, just send it to me. Just send me the music, Kami, I'll have it ready. Instead, they intensified their oppressions. Their brilliance grew brighter, especially the golden star, which rapidly expanded, first transforming into a blazing star with countless flames leaping from it, then into a genuine sun. It erupted with light that illuminated the entire astral world, revealing colossal, shadowy entities cloaked in darkness and terrifying forms. Once again, the barrier emitted a cracking sound that transitioned from abstract to real. Klein raised his hand to adjust the top hat. His body dissolved into a vortex bristling with tentacles, then merged into the barrier. An ancient bell tolling across the eras. What? Reverberated throughout the astral world and the spirit world that spanned the universe. The 8 different colored stars froze, the exploding light fractured into countless cones. The barrier was thoroughly stabilized. Klein had turned his gaze towards the earth. In the world of the ruins, except for a few areas under the protection and some distant regions of the western continent, the spirit body threads of all living creatures floated up, ascending to the astral world, including the clawed bird-like infant monstrosities, oak giants, herds of deer and various animals, as well as creatures mutated into the Broodhive's followers. The countless beings numbering in the tens or hundreds of billions shuddered and turned their gaze to the stationary, blood-red moon hanging in the air. Then the next second, these innumerable creatures writhed and transformed, each one instantly morphing into a version of Klein Moretti, complete with a silk top hat and black trench coat? What? What? Countless Klein Morettis surged toward the massive blood-red moon in the sky. Land, sea, in all directions. Klein said, "Brother, you know, I got that shit on. I want you to definitely see it. I don't think you saw it just the once. How about you see it billions of times? I want you to realize how hard this fit is, though. Look, I'm not lying, though, am I?" Near the dense fog surrounding the continent, the western continent, Amibella, who had grown into a young girl over less than a year and now stood at 5 or 6 meters tall, burned with flames that emanated destruction, her eyes as vacant as she watched each Klein Moretti pass by. Her body had already fragmented, her soul near complete dissolution. All that remained was her confusion and sorrow. She couldn't understand why her own mother had killed her. At last, Amibella's last consciousness remained. Spirituality and shattered body were devoured by the flames of destruction. With her complete death, the mountain, like nest-like protrusion on the surface of the blood-red moon, wailed, "My child!" The struggle intensified. As Klein approached the densely concentrated world of the blood-red moon, they began to undergo transformations. Volume 7. Remember in Volume 1 when Klein asked EBS has a father as his name? Aurora said if he does, I mean something has gone wrong? I don't actually remember that, Doxy. Some writhed, others' bellies swelled as their flesh and blood concentrated into offspring that were not marionettes. Others gained new life and consciousness, ceasing to be mere puppets and resisting the marionettist controlling them. Kleins turned on each other, engaging in fierce battle. Yet whether it was the marionette's offspring or those reborn, they soon would become toys in the hand of the marionettist, entering a new cycle. Oh wait, I thought I did loop it. What the fuck? Many marionettists attempted to use various abilities. What, the Godzilla one? Oh, sorry, yeah, I guess I didn't loop it, my bad. Many marionettes attempted to use various abilities, but the majority of these powers betrayed their original owner, instead destroying them. The situation reached a stalemate as numerous inexplicable phenomena unfolded in the region. The true body of Klein, unable to leave the barrier, never expected to defeat or seriously wound the mother, using marionettes or parasitic methods. He aimed to scatter her focus, forcing her to divert attention to fend off relentlessness, as unending assault, his true goal, to delay her complete fusion with the brood hive. Even if I can't defeat you, I'll make you miserable at least. Within the protected zone backland at the home of Forz and Geo, after hearing Franca's accounts, she exhaled. So that's what happened. No wonder I had a bad feeling. Due to the isolation of the protected zone at the extremely high level at the current events, neither she nor Geo had managed to understand what was happening. All their events at divination had failed. Before anyone could speak, Forz looked at the room and said, "Everyone, prepare." Her plan was to relocate the humans in her sphere to the edge of the universe, to a habitable planet that hadn't been discovered by the outer deities. She had already gathered the Abrahams into a nearby neighborhood. Frank opened her mouth as if to say something, but held back. Anthony remained silent, deep in thought. Sensing the atmosphere, Magician smiled and turned to Ludwig. "Your godfather probably wanted to feed you the dangers of the third layer of the box, but I am unsure if there is time for that." Before she could finish, she froze, turning her gaze and looking at the moon. Mr. Fool has become the Lord of Mysteries, as an archangel of the door pathway. Wait, when did she become a Sequence 1? She was both surprised and puzzled, but these emotions were overshadowed by an overwhelming sense of relief and security. When did Mr. Fool truly awaken? Gio asked. Mr. Fool had truly awakened and become the Lord of Mysteries? Franca felt a moment of elation, before realizing why Lumen felt so unhurried. Not long after, things had stable. I love how it's like, even Forz is like not allowed to know stuff before Lumion is. It's like, hey, you know the guy you nurtured? I trust him more than I trust you now. Yeah, listen, you've been real helpful, okay? I appreciate you, like, the whole waking me up bullshit. Like, I appreciate it, but, like, he kind of got that shit on, though. Not long after, once things had stabilized, the magician Forz retrieved related information from the spirit world and said, "Although the Earth Mother has fallen, but the Mother's progress in accommodating the broodhive has been delayed. Mr. Fool has ascended as the Lord of Mysteries and stabilized the barrier. Of course, the danger is not over. If Lumion can't accommodate the City of Calamity before the Mother fully fuses with the broodhive, and if he can't cooperate with Mr. Fool to seriously wound her and drive her out of the barrier, After becoming the origins of disaster, we will have to evacuate. I mean, nobody can get info from LEMMiNO while they could get it from Force? What do you mean? Why could they get info from Force? And if he can't cooperate with Mr. Fool to seriously wound her and drive her out of the barrier after becoming the origins of disaster, we may still need to evacuate. Franka first responded, then forced a smile. At least there's hope. That's better than nothing. Indeed, Forrest nodded. Tonight is destined to be long. Tonight, Gotham is relying on one man to save her. Klein, come and clutch, my boy! Meanwhile, the Rorstad Archipelago, city of generosity. As the Blue Avenger docked, Alger, wearing a captain's coat, stepped off the dock and descended to the port. Under the crimson moonlight, his shadow stretched long and indistinct, as if he had 3 heads. An angel of the Hanged Man pathway. Lone Kingdom, Cathedral of Serenity. Leonard emerged from the darkness wearing a white shirt under the trench coat, approaching a table, picking up the red gloves and slowly, methodically, sensually putting them on. I may have added one word in there, you can guess which one. He then glanced around, his figure vanishing inch by inch, as if erased by an invisible hand. Mission: protect a region containing multiple spheres. Destination: Tingen City, Awa County. Above the grey fog within the majestic palace, when Mr. Fool left for the astral world, LEMMiNO turned his gaze towards the charred fragments of the trees left after the gift of the land shattered and the brown mist rising and coalescing. Above them, the mist corresponded to the powers of the desolate matriarch Boone. LEMMiNO reached out and grabbed, causing the brown mist to condense into a mass of spoil, grass, grains, and vines. Don't worry, Captain. We're going to protect Tingen City. Deliver this to Madam Justice, LEMMiNO said, tossing it to Zadis. After the strike of the Sword of Destruction, Amibella's remains, consciousness, and spirituality within the gift of the land had been annihilated, leaving no trace. The boon power had detached from the corpse, becoming purified, containing only faint remnants of Broodhive's consciousness and spirituality. In essence, this mass of brown soil was akin to Beyonder items like the Circle of Binding or Fallen Mercury, no longer bearing the ties to Amibella's past, but it could no longer reliably connect with the Broodhive for power. As he spoke, LEMMiNO departed above the grey fog with Zadis, returning to the villa where he lived, and Nabor Disley was waiting. You have returned, Nabor Disley said. As Zadis vanished with the brown soil, LEMMiNO smiled. Let us begin. This is the final chance. With that, LEMMiNO settled into an armchair, and Nabor Disley gave him a smile and said, better than no chance at all. Before the words had left his lips, his body dissolved into a pool of black liquid, a manifestation of all malice and desire. The liquid, both real and illusory, flowed to LEMMiNO, directly infiltrating my mind and spirit with a spiritual brand. LEMMiNO raised an eyebrow and watched with a smile, offering no resistance, allowing the foul liquid to seep into his body, spirit, and mind. Feeling the surge of malevolence, LEMMiNO retrieved a candle from his divine kingdom, lit it, and placed it at the edge of the coffee table, and leaned back against the sofa, closing his eyes. This faintly sweet aroma of amber began to grow. The hawk does not bow to the sparrow. I'm sure that's a Chinese proverb, but it means literally nothing to me. Coming. What? Ooh, this song. I can, I'm being facetious. One of my favorite chapters. Ooh. As the scent of the grey amber candles wafted through the air, Lumen sat with his eyes closed, sensing the malice in his mind, as though he had entered the mist of history embodying Farbauti, engaging and indulging in wild, unrestrained acts. Now, he no longer needed corpse wax candles to enter to sense the city of calamity. Through cogitation alone, he could commune with it. Soon, Lumen began to float, and before him appeared a mist tinged with an eerie black hue. This time, he didn't enter the Shanghai that Franca had described, nor the trackless trams carrying heads with dangling spines or rickshaws. Instead, what he saw was a stone well built of slabs and iron chains. The law of convergence? Now that I've become a dual pathway true god of the domain of calamity, initiating the deed brings me directly to the core of the city of calamity, to the place where the dragon is sealed. If not for the seal, I'd likely be facing the dragon himself. Wasting no time, he immersed himself in the mirror-like surface of the crimson well of water. He traversed the familiar scene he had previously explored, and he arrived at the grey-white plaza where he had encountered the mirrored Alista Tudor. Outside the barrier, he saw the massive shadow occupying the bottom of the blood-colored sea, spanning the size of an entire metropolis. He stopped in his tracks. Oh, you know what? One prediction I will make? The mirrored Roselle dies. The mirrored Roselle dies protecting Bernadette somehow. Because I feel like he's gonna go, I'm more extreme than your father, but our like intentions in protecting you have never wavered, or something to that bullshit. Yeah, that's out of the blue. Because I read the mirrored Alista Tudor and my mind went to the mirrored Roselle, and I was like, oh, actually I should mention this. At the same time, outside the wooden tower, binding the malevolent dragon, a figure materialized out of thin air, composed of countless ethereal entities. Draped in a blue robe and crowned with a traditional high headdress, this figure held a horsetail whisk. What? His face as flawless as jade but gaunt, the celestial master of the current generation. Now that the mother had captured the brood hive and began fusing, he no longer needed to maintain the grey fog. Beside him, two other figures came into view. One in a yellow monastic robe wrapped in a red kaisaya. His head bore tonsure scars, I don't know what that is, but in his round face was adorned with long white beard that reached his chest. The other was draped in a dark robe adorned with strange patterns, his face ashen and bloodless, eyes so black they seemed to swallow all light. The first was the manifestation of Buddha, a holy monk acknowledged by all the sects of the community. Second was the underworld Taoist, the head of the Hao Li lineage. Ever since he had entered the river of eternal darkness, to suppress the remnants of Alista Tudor's soul, he had been as good as dead, his consciousness only partially merged with the river, allowing him to briefly act but preventing him from returning to the world of the living. This fate mirrored those of his predecessors and successors in the Howley lineage. So everyone of this lineage, just like the head of this lineage, is just like, alright, so you're gonna go down into the Cipher, just keep wailing on Alista Tudor. You're like, fucking die, idiot, god! Fucking wasting our whole fucking life with you, god damn it. Your efforts are much appreciated, said the Celestial Master. Before his words had settled, a shadow emerged from the depths of the dragon ceiling tower, darkness condensed into a human form. The figure wore a voluminous? What the fuck is this word? Black robe with long, flowing hair streaking with white. How could you leave me out of this? The Celestial Master did not respond, as light illuminated in the sky. All four figures raised their heads through layers of white clouds. They saw faintly discernible doors. At the door stood an immense figure crowned with a high dress of an emperor, its face concealed by overlapping beaded veils. Without speaking further, this might genuinely just be some fucking cultivation slop, genuinely. Without speaking further, the Celestial Master approached the stone tablet in front of the wooden tower and pressed his hand against it. And in the next second, the iron chains within the well began to retract. causing the well's water to ripple and lose its mirror-like quality. Standing at the gray-white plaza, LEMMiNO immediately sensed the barrier separating the blood-colored sea from the mirror had loosened, leaving exploitable cracks. No, I just mean like half of this chapter is literally like beaded veils covering his face. His face is flawless as fucking jade. You're like, brother, get to the fucking point, Jesus. As a ruler of the mirror world, LEMMiNO dematerialized without hesitation, passing through the opening and into reality. The blood-colored sea surged around him, corroding his soul and attempting to merge with him. LEMMiNO felt the malice within his heart gush forth as the viscous black liquid separated. These streams of black liquid stealthily dispersed into the surroundings of the blood-colored sea, neutralizing the dark specks within it. Unconcerned with the devil monarch for about his actions, LEMMiNO focused his gaze towards the immense black shadow he had glimpsed but could not see clearly. This shadow was unimaginably long, coiled like a serpent, yet even so it occupied an area comparable to Trier. Its body seemed to be composed of two enormous pythons entwined together. Yin cannot grow without yang, and yang cannot something without yin. Two snakes, makes sense. One covered in deep iron-black scales, the other in smooth, pristine, like white jade. When they touched, flesh and bone intertwined, forming one entity despite their dual appearance. Iron chains engraved in demonic relief pierced through this massive body repeatedly, extending through the blood-colored sea. Sensing LEMMiNO's presence, it raised its head. It had three heads. On the left, connected to the blood-scalped body, was a head resembling a camel's, with antelope-like horns, cow-like ears, and iron-black eyes. On the right, extending from the jade-white serpent's body, was the head of a human woman with black hair and brown eyes, strikingly beautiful, bearing a resemblance to Cheek. The central head, however, was a swirling amalgamation of liquid encompassing all colors and possibilities. At its facial features, eyes, nose, and ears and mouths had been drilled, one or two at each location. Klein has more heads than this thing does? So, this thing has 3 heads, but Klein has 4. That's so funny. This central head separated the other 2, preventing them from merging, ensuring their independent existence. Below it... Well, Klein fuck. Sorry, LEMMiNO, I'm sorry. LEMMiNO has 4, sorry. Below it, an invisible substance formed a neck that supported the head and rooted at the entwined serpent bodies. You also have 3 heads, LEMMiNO chuckled. Then he mockingly jeered Adam in his mind. Your plan has failed. Had Alista and Cheek not stumbled upon the right conditions by chance, this experiment of yours would have ended in failure. The phrase yin contains yang, yang contains yin, the union of yin and yang give rise to everything was indeed correct, and the only method, but only up until the final step. In this state, attempting to accommodate the City of Calamity would lead to disaster. What did everything begin with? With the original creator. The union of yin and yang symbolizes the return to the origin, heralding the rebirth of all things. Of course, what would return wouldn't be the complete original creator, but a mirrored original creator, stable enough to avoid immediately destroying and rebooting the universe. In the first epoch, the first Cipher accommodated by the primordial god was the City of Calamity. Beyond his deep desire for it, he likely foresaw the dangers. By intertwining personally and using the chaotic head as a barrier, he prevented yin and yang from merging, halting the integration. Everything was threefold, giving birth to all things. Only then could it be stable. With his 3 heads and 6 faces, LEMMiNO gazed at the similarly 3-headed malevolent dragon and laughed. Inside the wooden tower, the 6 faces are Jenna, Aurora, the Vortex, Cheek, Tudor, and himself, right? Inside the wooden tower, the Celestial Master, the Holy Monk, the Howley lineage underworld Taoist, and the self-proclaimed Master of the Shadow Cottage each sat at the cross-legged at the dragon ceiling, Well's corner. Underneath the Celestial Master appeared a desolate wilderness, behind the monk a pristine transcendent halo. Before the Howley sect, a straight, broad, dark river. Seeing this, the Master of the Shadow Cottage laughed, summoning a faintly discernible, shadowy black world to descend upon the scene. At the tower's apex, a light tinged with blue and white poured directly into the well. Clanging sounds echoed as faint light glimmered upon the chains embedded in the wells. The battle between Lumin and the dragon, or rather, Lumin's efforts to accommodate the City of Calamity, was something they could not intervene in. They could only use the pre-existing seals to weaken and restrict the dragon. This is how Bonnie Blue's son will look like! That's really good! That's really good, Seer. Oh, that's really good. At the bottom of the blood-colored sea, the malevolent dragon's eyes fixed on Lumion. Lumion, holding on to an idea that if I can persuade it, I can save a lot of time, and there's nothing to lose by trying, smiled at the dragon. I know you desire war, destruction, and conquest of all things, and to send those who refuse to submit into chaos. If you are willing to merge with me, I shall lead you to the highest realms of war, where those so-called great existences will bow before you, or be destroyed by you. As Lumin spoke, Cheek's face turned forward, eager to add something, to instigate, but she couldn't speak. The dragon stared at Lumion, then the two side heads spoke simultaneously. One side masculine, powerful, the other soft and alluring. The hawk does not bow to the sparrow, and a true dragon does not obey the wild dog. If you wish to claim all of this, come and defeat me, kill me. Hearing this, Lumion felt a surge of excitement, as did Alista, who turned his eyes iron black, fervent with intensity. Lumion raised his right hand and removed the mask from Alista Tudor, who then howled and declared, "Then let's fight." In the world of the ruins above the grey fog outside the western continent, the blood-red moon continued. To fend off the marionettes controlled by Klein while simultaneously suppressing the brood hive with relentless fury. Suddenly, from deep within the blood-red moon where physical cores may reside, a strange sound came. The drums of liberation. Before the fetus had been born, its heartbeat pierced through its mother's body, echoing through every place illuminated by the moonlight. Chris, where are we stopping today, by the way? As the heartbeat intensified, the towering 10,000-meter brood hive hesitated in its struggle. Wherever you want? Oh, dope. Okay. There's no stopping point? Lovely. That's great. No good stopping place. Well, that's what I want to hear. Lovely. Well, let's go for like another hour and like a half or something. As the heartbeat intensified, the brood hive intensified and hesitated in its struggle, seeming to be drawn by the inexplicable force or subjugated to its power. Its fusion with the blood-red moon accelerated again, but the heartbeat emanating from the depths of the moon did not last long and subsided, even if the moon's body continued its rejected its continuation, unwilling to let the pulsations grow stronger. It was as though allowing it to persist may bring about an unknown problem, one so severe the moon itself didn't wish to face it. After the brief resonance of the infant's heartbeat, the broodhive's resistance faltered. Although it struggled and held its ground, its efforts were no longer as fervent as before, akin to the battlefield change, once full of hope being thwarted, leading to a drop in morale. Under such circumstances, failure seemed inevitable. At the bottom of the blood-colored sea, LEMMiNO resin removed the dark golden mask, revealing the chaotic vortex face beneath. At that moment, the left head of the dragon let out a roar. The roar reverberated through LEMMiNO's mind, causing an overwhelming buzzing. Pain shot through all three of his necks. At the gaze of the chaotic vortex was the least affected. It turned its front, stabilizing while continuing to gaze at the dragon. Accompanied by the roar, the malevolent dragon attempted to stretch its body and ascend to the upper reaches of the blood-colored sea, but the clanging echoed as the chains embedded in its flesh restrained its movements. One after another, the demonic engravings in the chain transformed into colossal, tangible entities manifesting. Demons. They separated. They desperately pulled on the chains, preventing the dragon from leaving its position. Some demons quickly succumbed to the dragon's power, submitting it entirely. Others held on, stubbornly resisting the force of conquest. Seeing the formation of the demons faltering on the edge of the complete submission, a dark, colorless river flowed from the iron chains, stabilizing the struggling devils. It was like an emergency injection, causing them to return to the positions and heed the commands of their sealer. The high-ranking figures of the death pathway wield significant control and suppression over their lesser counterparts. The river of eternal darkness, a force even higher in rank than death itself, amplified this effect. When the dragon was sealed, the engravings of the demons on the iron chains were chosen specifically for this, empowered by the river of eternal darkness and controlled by the Howley sect master. These demons could partially resist the dragon's power of conquest and charm, ensuring the demons would not capitulate to the dragon's struggle, buying time for reinforcements to arrive and the subsequent layers of containment. Amidst the piercing sound of strained metal, the dragon managed to extend only part of its body and could not extend to the higher in the blood-colored sea. One of the reasons Klein believed LEMMiNO had a chance to merge with the City of Calamity before the Mother completed her fusion. LEMMiNO wasn't facing a fully intact malevolent dragon or the City of Calamity at its peak, confronting a target that had been sealed through monumental effort, one that had cost countless heroic lives. The current dragon was shackled, unable to move or create substitutions or slumbering mirrors, akin to a living target. If LEMMiNO couldn't defeat, kill, or merge with such a dragon, he was fundamentally unworthy. That's my Klein. Listen, either you die and you help us, either you win and you help us, or you die and you were kind of a bitch anyway. Either way, I'm not losing much. The current malevolent the cultivators of the Western continent had paved the way for him, sacrificing generations to remove half the obstacles to the finish line. This LEMMiNO stood on the shoulders of giants, supported by the wisdom and sacrifices of the civilization's sages. A relay passed through countless generations, and LEMMiNO the mere final runner. Many of the demonic entities engraved on the dragon's sealing chains were cultivators who voluntarily transformed themselves to binding the dragon. Willing to accept eternal torment, choosing to descend to demonic hell to ensnare the dragon. Today they shall see the end of this battle, the dragon slain, and liberation. Success does not have to be achieved by me, but I must contribute. The demons on the chains, their face twisting and the claws bared, remained steadfast, the majority standing resolutely at their post, refusing to retreat, vowing to resist to their death. They pulled on the chains with all their might, restricting the dragon's movements and creating opportunity for LEMMiNO to attack. Earlier, LEMMiNO had attempted to instigate the dragon not only to save time, but to leverage the Eye of Calamity to find the dragon's weak point and the tributary leading to death. But the dragon had no fatal weaknesses, and no tributaries led to its true demise. Its only vulnerabilities were the chains and the demons were creating limitations. These were not deadly flaws, they merely restricted its actions and diminished its power. Thus, Lumen removed the mask, intending to use the vortex face to draw upon the White Tower's pathway, omniscient eye ability. This time, Lumen saw a problem. A scene appeared in his mind under a specific psychic storm, intangible shadows that didn't belong to the dragon, yet bore its aura stripped away. Well, that's good, right? Because I'm finishing tomorrow. Get fucked. These shadows included a general seated alone in the tent, a beautiful dancer peering under the general's gaze, a conqueror standing before the massive mounds of skulls, a concubine gracefully dancing in his palm, an emperor ascending a sacrificial altar alone, and a favored consort smiling at the sight of a beacon fires rising in the distance. These shadows represented a successive generation of high-ranking figures who had aligned themselves with the City of Calamity, a jumble of influences that had imparted some kind of consciousness, thoughts, or inclinations to the dragon. Lumen envisioned these using psychic authority and specific mental plague to strip away those external consciousnesses, rejecting them to the edge of the dragon's being. This would return to the dragon to its most primal and authentic form. As such, the dragon would become a pure symbol of calamity, a walking embodiment of destruction capable of controlling its own instincts, creating vulnerabilities. As the scene took shape in Lumen's mind, the dragon, which was straining against the chain, stiffened, and one by one, the shadows separated from it. The dragon's left head, with its iron-black eyes, was tinged with blood red, the expressions on the right, the woman's beautiful head, turning mad. Even the central, chaotic head began spewing all-encompassing colors from its drilled apertures. The declared future of a visionary was unfolding. The blood-colored sea quaked violently in the next second. The indescribable aura of destruction and madness descended upon the scene. The demons on the chains trembled, while Lumen's right and central heads were forced to bow. Would you get it together, Lumen? 66.67% of you is bowing right now. The malevolent dragon's white-bodied head, with its crazed blue eyes, swiftly reflected Lumen's body within its gaze, perceiving the fragile balance and the point of calamity. Without hesitation, mods, shoot that man. Without hesitation, the dragon lunged forward in its eyes. Lumen began to collapse, from within exploding into chaos. Catastrophe descended, a strike against Lumen's greatest vulnerability, his precocious balance. Now, the instinct-driven dragon what would happen to Lumen in the event of such a collapse didn't much matter. Its sole desire was destruction, the return to chaos, and Lumen's figure shattered, turning into a mirror. Yet even with this preemptive use of a mirror substitution, the catastrophe traveled through the connection and spread to him. The nature of the City of Calamity. As long as the connection existed, it could curse, affect, and spread catastrophe. Lumen's body shimmered in one corner of the blood-colored sea. Both sides of his form began writhing as though intended to devour each other. Meanwhile, the central head lost its connection and control over the heads over the left and right. Within Lumen, the uniqueness of the demoness, the uniqueness of the Red Priest, the demoness of Apocalypse characteristic, and the Conqueror erupted into violent conflicts, seeking to end the equilibrium and dominate the whole. Cracking sounds echoed as the connection within Lumen, linking his various traits, were severed. But this did not cause Lumen's body to collapse, and instead shattered the protections, maintaining the balance. That protection was grafting. Shortly after becoming a god, Lumen had enlisted Mr. Fool's assistance to graft the uniqueness and characteristics within him to a cohesive whole, stabilize his existence in a peculiar manner. He had made similar preparations before facing the Cheek. Now, The grafting had shielded him from one catastrophic collapse of his balance, but could only do so once. Beyond this, even the Lord of Mysteries could no longer intertwine with what happened here. Lumien's heads continued to spin, each turning different directions. Had he not spent months adjusting to his state and stabilizing his psyche, Lumien would have relied on the grafting to escape the predicament, would have still taken an inevitable turn. As his heads rotated, Lumien managed to regain control of Cheek's face. He raised one hand on the right side. Damn, motherfucker's got 6 arms and 5 of them are fighting him. Oh, it's so whack. That's a lot of chapters. Moon, how's it going? As Lumen clenched one of the fists on his right side, the void before him collapsed, meeting its apocalypse. It formed a vortex of chaos that contained all colors and possibility. Just an apocalypse was an ascendant form of catastrophe. Chaos was an ascendant form of apocalypse. Catastrophe led to the collapse of an entire system. Hey there, imagine he teleports behind the fucking dragon, harumps him, the dragon falls asleep. We're laughing. Catastrophe led to the collapse of an entire system. Apocalypse deepened the collapse into a total explosion of contradictions, engulfing it all into one. Chaos represented the singularity in its convergence, the conclusion after the explosion. Thus, the chaos of the chaos demon could not be applied directly to a stable and balanced target. A catastrophic collapse must first be created in the designated area, followed by the total explosion of contradictions to form a substantial vortex of chaos. Only then could it spread to affect the target. As soon as the vortex containing all colors appeared, it began spreading to the edge of the dragon. It encountered an invisible barrier, unable to reach the dragon's body, part of the sealing mechanism. The dragon was incapable of creating catastrophe or launching attacks within an area it occupied or where the chains extended, or it would have long destroyed the chains through self-inflicted damage. After all, it could rebuild its body. This limitation restricted both the dragon and Lumien. The vortex of chaos churned violently against the barrier, pulling and shredding in an attempt to consume it. Do you think Klein is watching this and he's going, "You seem wholly incapable. It's a chained dragon. How are you having this much difficulty? You should have seen how easily I took control of Cipher Castle. It was just like, This limitation restricted both the dragon and Lumien. The vortex of chaos churned violently against the invisible barrier, pulling and shredding it in an attempt to consume it. Yet, the barrier's power seemed endless, showing no signs of faltering in the short term. Around the dragon's sealing well, high-ranking dragons from the western continent, such as the Celestial Master and the Holy Monk, successfully unleashed their power. Layer by layer, they decoupled the seal, creating a breach in the area where Lumen was attacking. The vortex of chaos quickly broke through the invisible barrier, extending towards the malevolent dragon's enormous body. Don't say spam versus skill. Lumen has won 80% of his battles in all of this whole fucking book with a simple ass teleport harumph, okay? Don't give him this. Don't sit here like, oh my god, he's a tactical genius. Don't give him this, okay? On the surface of the chains binding the dragon, the demon carving, rather than showing any anger as they faced the encroaching chaos, wore expressions of joy. They straightened their backs, lifted their heads, and their terrifying visage of green faces, sharp fangs, and bare bones and oozing pus radiated with pride and relief. The vortex containing all possibilities swept in, dissolving them into nothingness. The chains fractured and fell to chaos. This section of the dragon's body was torn apart by deep red flames, iron-black bones, white spikes, and black fur, dissipating into the vortex of chaos. All three of its heads tilted back and agonized. The affected part of its body broke. Without the binding chains, it ignited prematurely with flames that restrained madness, destruction, and chaos. The swaths of flames collided with the approaching chaos, plunging into the blood-colored sea into darkness. Both forces annihilated each other, as LEMMiNO prepared to capitalize, to unleash catastrophe and herald apocalypse. A surge of madness erupted in his mind. The occasional state he was in had entered. He had lost control. He had gone mad. This was because the dragon was an incomplete origin of disaster and restrained itself on its corresponding symbols would inevitably influence the surrounding area. For Lumion, the two latent calamities were most prominent: his fragile balance and the fact that he had already lost control, only temporarily lucid due to Klein's wish. The first had already been triggered earlier, and now the second was manifesting. The central head on Lumion's body lost all reason, its expression twisted with virtual persona. Over the past year, Lumion stabilizing his state and helping the Tarot Club members as well as those he cared about, Lumion had been contemplating challenges in his battle against the dragon. It's so weird. I don't drop any frames, but I will. But several people will lag at the same time. Not everyone, but several people lag at the same time. It's so weird. I would, Dr. Z, but it's gonna be a lot of that in the afternoon today, so I can't do it. I can't do it right now. It's gonna be tonight. What? What do you mean no sound? Hey, there's fucking with me, right? Yeah, he's fucking with me. Liar. Thanks to the Fool. Thanks to the Fool's awakening and the accommodation of Cipher Castle, Lumion gained deeper understanding and mastery over symbols and their influence, learning the nature of the origins of disaster, the calamity of destruction, and their impacts on himself. To counter this, he had used his visionary ability to implant a virtual persona in himself. If his consciousness lost control and descended to madness, the persona would surge, fusing with the chaotic vortex face to take over. The vortex face was chosen because its status and rank could suppress the other faces and uncontrollable madness. The persona was a near replica of Lumion with subtle differences. They barely restrained his frenzied instincts, and at that moment the void appeared, along with a star larger and brighter than the sun. The star's core collapsed on a massive scale, unleashing unparalleled light and heat. And a sea of unimaginable brilliance surged forth, just seconds away from engulfing Lumion. The central head on Lumion's body burst into laughter. Is this also a damn calamity? At the border of the western continent, high above the grey fog, the blood-red moon began to tremble. Its halted fusion resumed, though not at the same pace as before. Among the countless manifestations of Klein surrounding the world, some were engaged in infighting, while others influenced the mother goddess of depravity remotely, albeit only causing interference. In the southern continent, within a concealed area protected by the slight corruption transmitted by the mother, through the chained god and the grotesque followers of the mother, oozing pus with misplaced facial features or bearing animalistic traits, all received a message from Sua and Thierry. Come to the altar. The mother is about to succeed. After she is done accommodating, she will assist us in according to her pact with the Lord, the primordial God Almighty. This is what we gained in exchange for the loss of the Shadow Tree. Upon hearing the name, many of the believers underwent grotesque transformations, sprouting genitalia, staining blood red, or swelling as fetuses prepared to tear their way out. They staggered to the altar, and Sua and Thierry in their madness were indifferent to their states, or perhaps didn't even consider it. Strawberry! Holy fucking shit! Long time no see, man. Confronted by the exploding sea of light, Lumion ignited. He transformed into an invisible, colorless flame. In a sun-like state wreathed in fire, he met the raging, searing sea of light. Lumion was absorbed into it. The outer flames extinguished and reignited repeatedly, while his inner luminous consciousness alternated between disintegration and cohesion. As the explosion neared its end, he morphed into a vortex of chaos, absorbing the light and heat to reconstruct himself, relying on the vortex faces of status and rank and its affinity with light. Lumion survived. The calamity of destruction encompassed universal symbols, and a supernova was undoubtedly one such calamity. Similarly, the calamity of destruction represented a universal level symbol. The scope of the calamity could be infinitely small or infinitely vast. Immediately after, Lumion transformed into light and at the speed of light raced to the location of the dragon. At that moment, an indescribable darkness emerged in the sky, darkness that couldn't be seen or perceived, identifiable only through the distorted gases and slowly spinning discs in it. As Lumion had the light Lumion had become had bent uncontrollably to the darkness. This too was a calamity. A black hole? Ah, okay, I was right, Kami. Lumion realized he had only one path, to pass through the earlier breach and enter the dragon's territory. There, the dragon couldn't launch attacks or calamities, or it would have freed itself long ago. Amid the bending light, Lumion reverted to his giant form. Clusters of intangible flames flew towards the spinning disk's core, followed by the iron black bone that made up his flame. Seeing the fleeting opportunity, a vivid banner-like mark emerged on his forehead, invoking the sacrificial ability of the Red Priest, offering tribute to the dragon and pleading for its aid. In a normal state, the dragon would have ignored its enemy, but now, with its external consciousness stripped, the dragon was reacting on pure instinct. Receiving sacrifice and providing help was an ability etched into its characteristics, concepts, and authority. The dragon would uncontrollably respond to Lumion. That is why Lumion had begun the battle by forcing the dragon back to its godhood and instincts. As time slowed to a crawl, Lumion, now missing most of his body, received the dragon's response. Ha ha. The dragon began to laugh. The darkness and its surroundings dissipated. This individual for which it came was the same reason it vanished, and before the dragon could react, Lumion activated a contract mark on its body. It's confirmed. We are literally just reading Cultivation. Do you want to know how? Look at this. This is the title. What? I don't even know what this word means. I just know it's Cultivation. Lumion disappeared from the boundless cosmos, following the connection established by the dragon's response, transporting himself to its domain. Surrounding him were layers of colors and wailing souls, the spirit world. Unless entirely and it's specifically isolated, every place was connected to the spirit world and astral world, one of the meanings of a pillar. It means path? Oh. However, waiting for Lumion was an overwhelming brilliance that swept away everything, as if two galaxies collided, tearing through the spirit world. Lumion did not linger in the spirit world. Before the sea of light engulfed him, he transformed into an abstract concept and entered this astral world. The infinite flood of light and heat surged for him here as well. Reaching with both hands, Lumion created a door within the astral world amidst the composition of symbols and concepts, a painted door. The door was open and Lumion disappeared. His eyes beheld the entwined form of a malevolent dragon. He had arrived at the domain where the dragon lay. He had reached this location through a door. The contract seal he had activated was not from Zadis, of that of transportation. Instead, he used a newly acquired contract seal, one obtained a month ago from Gearman. By its nature, the contracts of a contractee lost the ability to forcibly compel agreements or obligations once they reached higher levels of power, without qualitative enhancements, by inevitability. But if both parties willingly agreed and honored the contract, the contractee's body and soul could bear the weight transmitted by the other party. Such connections, though, were fragile and cannot be sustained more than 2 uses. Before facing the primordial, LEMMiNO had ventured into the astral world where he sought angel-level boons of true gods. He had also for his puppet soldiers and also signed a contract with Gearman, who wielded the door pathway uniqueness. In that prior battle, the demoness had held back, so LEMMiNO had kept some of his cards hidden. Earlier, LEMMiNO waited for the sacrificial ritual taking effect and the dragon responding before activating the contract seal. This was to confuse the dragon with his persistence and journey, catching it in the moment of distraction so that it would not detect or disrupt the contract connection in time. The negative effects of signing a door-related uniqueness contract with Gearman originally manifested as frequently getting lost and encouraging hostile, dangerous entities. However, after being fooled by Klein, the drawback changed to potentially getting lost and encountering hostile entities, only when using the contract abilities. In the current scenario, the most hostile and dangerous entity to LEMMiNO was undoubtedly the dragon. Once LEMMiNO opened the door to enter the domain of the dragon, he immediately felt the calamity stemming from the dragon's influence. The power of the wish returned, and once he had entered the state of occasional lucidity, the dragon roared, emanating powerful conquest and charm, but could not break free from the dragon sealing chains. Peter, how's it going, man? Goddamn, long time no see indeed. LEMMiNO stood above the dragon, deactivating the virtual persona and turning his gaze to the dragon. Having learned from Mr. Fool about the origins of the chains and demons, LEMMiNO's expression was filled with respect and admiration, and addressed the demons. "Fellow Taoists, please aid me in ending this calamity." The demons all froze. Fellow Taoists. This title seemingly lost to history. It echoed in their ears, and their expressions softened. On their phantom-like faces, a look of reminiscence. Still restraining to maintain their positions along the various nodes of the chain, ensuring the dragon remained sealed and could only use abilities like Conquest and Charm within the domain. Some of them extended their hands to straighten their crooked, tattered crowns. Others tidied their rotting, exposing flesh garments. Some lifted their trembling hands to wipe the bloodstain from their faces. A gentleman mustn't lose their crown, even in death. The sect's leader, standing beside the dragon, also heard LEMMiNO's words, and as high-ranking figures, he relaxed his control and suppression of the demons. The demons all raised their heads and shouted, "Fellow Taoists, I shall aid you!" These cries interwove and echoed, spreading in waves. With their permission, LEMMiNO quickly incorporated them into his army, making them his teammates and soldiers to resist the powerful dragon's conquest and charm. One after another, the phantom images of the demons materialized behind LEMMiNO. Mirror selves. The demons at the bottom of the sea numbered in the tens of thousands. While maintaining the chains and seal to prevent the dragon, they awaited LEMMiNO to lead their mirror selves in a devastating attack. LEMMiNO's arms, either ignited with intangible flames, formed chaotic vortices, grasped soul-freezing black flames, held up an illusory red altar, carried a grayish-white aura, or raised a scorched banner, all unleashing attacks on the dragon. These powers, belonging respectively to the Red Priest and Demoness, intertwined to form a giant flame of destruction. The demons also launched their own attacks under LEMMiNO's rank, especially those who had once belonged to the Howley sect. They obtained approval and blessings from the sect leader outside, sealing well and under the underworld Taoist within the River of Darkness, each borrowing a dark drop of the colorless river water. These droplets transformed into countless illusory arrows that filled the eye and flew towards LEMMiNO's sword of destruction. Some were repelled, while others merged. What was Tao? The Tao was generations of perseverance capable of moving mountains. The Tao was a spark that could ignite the prairie fire. The Tao was struggling against the heavens with endless joy. As the dragon roared, unable to unleash calamities or disasters in this domain, it could rely only on abilities like conquest and charm. It was restricted, and as was Lumion. The destruction Lumion unleashed remained confined to the mirror world, unable to reach reality. While the dragon's true form was not within the mirror, it was sealed and constricted. The demons who had borrowed the river of eternal darkness's water moved both their mirrored selves and true forms, succumbing one after one to the erosion of the Zephyr's power, yet none showed pain, with smiles of hope on their faces. The remaining demons, seeing the flames of destruction draw closer to the dragon, smiled, "Come, strike us." As droplets of the river of eternal darkness merged, the flaming sword Lumion had created grew smaller and darker, soon transforming into a sword of normal size, one that any human could wield. The sword, entirely dark, continued to contract as points of compressing the concepts of time, space, creation, death, destruction, and renewal to a single point. As the attack neared the dragon, the Celestial Master, Holy Monk, and the others made their phenomena increasingly evident, merging them into a well. With a crash, the blood-red water surged, breaking chain after chain, and at that moment, the high-ranking figures of the continent had lifted the seal, allowing calamities and apocalypse to erupt in the dragon's domain. Lumion's attacks pierced through the mirror world, entering reality and striking the dragon's head. Behind them, the demons dissipated one by one due to the erosion of the Zephyr's power. In front of him, more demons crumbled under the force of destruction. Seeing this, a surge of emotions erupted in Lumion's heart. He shouted, "Fight!" Fighting means giving your all, pressing forward unyieldingly. Fighting means sacrificing with great ambition, daring to change the heavens and the earth. Fight! With this cry, Lumion drove the unstable sword into the dragon's neck. Immediately a small singularity formed, tearing apart flesh, flame, steel, bone, consuming all authority, concepts, and symbols. The dragon's entire body arced, emitting a soundless howl, and along with the sealing chains and the demons, it was devoured by the singularity. The darkness stabilized, expanding into an explosion that released light and heat. One by one, all of Lumion's mirror substitutes shattered, and his body outlined at the edge of the domain. Looking ahead, seeing only emptiness and nothing else, but at that moment a frenzied, violent aura from the dragon began to pervade the world, its body reforming. As a consciousness derived from the city of calamity, its spirit was indestructible, and once its physical form was obliterated, it should soon be reborn from the city of calamity. The Western continent's cultivators had not killed the dragon back when they could seal it in a domain where most of its powers and calamities were nullified. They understood it was rather pointless. Seeing this, Lumion wasn't disappointed. He had prepared. The second phase of the battle was about to begin. A consciousness battle. Ow. I forgot I had a straw. Taking advantage of the dragon's scattered consciousness and unformed spirit, Lumion, who had engaged in the battle using the ritual and the fool's reality-bending powers, expanded his figure, summoning his physical body from the protected zone. Almost simultaneously, Klein in the astral world created an opening in the grey-white fog that blanketed the western continent. With the mother fully accommodating the brood hive, even if the seal on the continent were lifted, she would not currently destroy the continent. But her symbolic influence and natural power would still radiate, so Klein's maintained the seal, merely opening a door that connected to the interior of the outside for Lumion. Now, 3-headed, 6-armed shot out from the protected zones and teleported to the depths of the grey fog, appearing above the dragon's sealing well. He dove in, arriving beside his consciousness and spirit. The two overlapped. Lumin grew large, his 3 heads gazing at the different directions while all 6 arms were raised. Leaping out of the now unsealed dragon sealing well, he hovered above the bustling metropolis, stretching his hands down, pulling at something heavy. The people within the city all felt the sky darken, the ground tremble, an image of the city extracted by Lumin from its physical form. Within its image, all citizens were grotesque. Some were reduced to a single head, dragging a spine, while others were well-dressed but headless. Some were swollen, their features obscured. This was originally intertwined with the original metropolis, the secret doors and intersecting timelines connecting the 2 city of calamities. Lumin's body size shrank, plunging into the extracted image of the city. The city of calamity shrank and bizarrely entering Lumin's body and moving towards his brow. Lumin intended to seize the moment before the dragon's consciousness was reborn fully to accommodate the city of calamity, then confront and merge with it. The next second, the image froze at Lumin's brow. His consciousness and spirit were drawn to it. He saw a staircase leading to infinite heights, at the end of which lay a divine throne stained with blood. On the steps, the dragon took form, coiling to block his path. Must he resist me even now? In the real world, deep within the blood-red moon, the pounding hearts grew intensely. The nest-like peaks seemed to resonate, their sinking accelerating. The accommodation of the mother goddess of depravity in the brood hive progressed further, showing no signs of slowing. Within the grey fog, directly beneath the moon, the madams and ladies under the core power of the mother stood one after another, turning their gaze to their leader. The figure, a beautiful woman with a full moon-like face radiating maternal glow. We must return to the mother of the embrace. She has mobilized more of her chaos primogenitor powers to accelerate her fusion with the brood hive. We must return to her embrace, restore her power, and alleviate the burden. The chaos progenitor is the original sin of the universe. Although merely sequence 0 of the Valley God pathway, it carries significant symbolism. That symbolism represents the nascent original creator of the next universe. Hey? Icon of Sin again? Ah, what did I do? No! I turned off the previous one. I'm an idiot. I'm dumb. It's fine. It's fine. I got it. I got it. Under the even as the mother, she cannot overly wield its symbolic power without risking the instability. Understanding dawned on everyone, their expressions reflecting degrees of reverence. Praise be to Mother of all things. Praise be to you, eternal evil. Why? Eternal evil? And none of you are like, damn, that doesn't sound like a good thing? Praise be to you, the true Mother Goddess. Amidst their praises, the bestowed and beyonders turned into beams of red, black, or brown, streaming into the blood-red moon and merging with it. A hidden corner of the world's ruined southern continent. The bizarrely shaped Rose School of Thought Beyonders and Mother Tree of Desire followers flocked densely near the altar. Atop the yellow, pyramid-like altar, a figure wrapped in bandages, thorns, and roses hung, appearing to bind all curses and desires on the verge of erupting. Chained God, Tolsna. Following the vortex incident and the descent of the moon, this deity had effectively perished. His body, consciousness, and spirit entirely corrupted by the mother, acting as a proxy. Now he would serve as the primary sacrifice for this ritual, forcibly opening a passage with the mother's aid to allow the tree of desire to descend within the barrier. Of course, if the barrier shattered under the mother's assault, it would simply return to the great existence, the Mother Tree of Desire. When the sacrifice was ready, the thoughts of Sua and Thierry radiated. The ritual. Begin the ritual! within the consciousness space corresponding to the City of Calamity. Seeing the malevolent dragon rapidly forming, LEMMiNO disassembled, splitting into 6 consciousness and figures, including him, Aurora, Jenna, the Chaotic Vortex, Cheek, and Alista Tudor. There! How's it going, man? Although not entirely fused, they had partially merged, cooperating, conflicting, and entangling to form a fragile balance, while portions corresponding to Ami, Bala, and Zadis merged with Cheek and Tudor. In the real world, LEMMiNO could not break this balance or separate, but in this space, where they had a degree of independence, they could. If LEMMiNO succeeded in accommodating the City of Calamity, his consciousness would eventually form a unified whole, indivisible. Even under similar circumstances, this was the distinction between dual pathway true gods and great existences. The 6 consciousnesses coalesced instantly. LEMMiNO pulled a statue-like chaotic vortex, facing consciousnesses, along with Aurora and Jenna's consciousness. A step back, disappearing from the dragon's attack only, left Cheek and Alista Tudor in place. Cheek gazed deeply into the Emperor's eyes, then fixated on the dragon as if saying, "Finally, this is our moment." Behind her appeared a figure clad in a black skeletal dress, the mirrored oldest one's feminine aspect. Similarly, behind Alista, the mirrored one's masculine aspect emerged in white armor. In the real world, these figures were forbidden from meeting or merging, but in the consciousness, they could briefly reunite. And LEMMiNO provided LEMMiNO withdrew the chaotic vortex. This reunion could occur only once, as it would severely wound both Cheek and Tudor. Left unchecked, it could lead to the birth of the mirrored one's oldest self-consciousness. LEMMiNO was now gambling on the symbolism to counter the dragon's consciousness. Instantly, the dragon's consciousness transformed the space into an infinite, dark cosmos, filled with calamities. Cheek and Tudor drew close, accompanied by their mirrored selves. The entire universe all froze, all calamities losing their vitality, heat and light extinguished. Then the most violent explosion erupted, mass amounts of matter scattered, forming suns, seas, stars, and life. The dragon's consciousness dissolved and the prior freedom was shattered amongst the creation. Once again, it dissipated, reconstructing within the City of Calamity. The figures of Cheek and Tudor merged into a single sphere, twisting and writhing as they struggled to reunite. At this moment, a vortex emerged from within, separating them. Annihilation and creation became unstable, and in the next second, LEMMiNO, Aurora, and Jenna returned, towering as giants, dragging the weakly reborn dragon's consciousness close to them. Under these circumstances, the chaotic head of the dragon, the chaotic vortex, became strongly attracted, exerting a strong pull towards convergence. The vortex face and the chaotic head merged, drawing each other to a central point. This act separated Cheek and Tudor, including their mirrored forms. The instability of annihilation creation ceased, having finally prevented the true birth of the mirrored original creator's consciousness. LEMMiNO and Aurora and Jenna were forced to return to the body containing the chaotic vortex face. In doing so, the dragon and them were now inseparably close. Breathing audibly forms distinct. Neither could evade, neither retreat. Ah. So it feels like the ending at this point is gonna be that Klein and LEMMiNO are gonna beat up the Mother Goddess of Depravity, kick her out, and then it's just gonna be like, well, LEMMiNO and Klein can strengthen the barrier for another 10 years or whatever, and it's like, well, then we'll figure it out then. And then maybe if we get more gods, then we can strengthen it for another 15 or something. Like that feels like the ending he's gonna go for at this point. And that's such a dog shit ending. I hope that's not it. If that's the ending, if the answer is not like, okay, well, the barrier's been fixed for like 1,000 years or like a relatively long time frame, I'm genuinely gonna feel a little cheated. I'm not gonna lie. The dragon's camel-like head, adorned with antler horns and covered in blood-red fur, lunged at the chaotic head and collided with LEMMiNO's face. LEMMiNO did not back down, biting into the dragon's head, tearing at its nose, ears, eyes, and cheeks. The black scales began to protrude from LEMMiNO's face and neck, a symbolic manifestation of the struggle and merging of consciousness. Don't laugh, okay? Don't laugh like, oh wow, he's in for such a boring moment. Don't laugh at me like, oh wow, he's so stupid. He's expecting a good ending? In such a situation, creating calamities and causing disasters would lead to self-inflicted harm. The dragon's other head and its snake-like jade-wide body entwined with the heads of Aurora and Jenna. They both charmed and cursed each other. Black flames embodying destruction, ferocity igniting and wrapping around. Having disrupted the dragon's consciousness twice and merged before it could recover, LEMMiNO had reached an equal footing with his opponent, but it was not yet enough. The good ending is what is beneficial to Klein? Crowish, if the ending was like, hey listen, the entire universe or this entire planet died, but Klein and like the 15 humans I care about made it out alive and they lived on another planet, unbothered by the great old ones, I'm fine with that. Done. Solved. Okay, fuck it, no problem. But if it's gonna be some bullshit of like, oh well, the fucking barrier's been kind of resolved for 6 years, fucking we'll do this again, I guess. No, fuck off, okay? No. Amidst their tearing and biting, LEMMiNO clasped his two hands together and the corresponding vision merged in his mind. Fuzzy, ethereal figures returned to the malevolent dragon from all directions, reintegrating with the once unified consciousness. They were the consciousness of the City of Calamity's integrators that LEMMiNO had separated. Because they had been separated, they had avoided destruction in the battle. Now LEMMiNO used the power of a visionary to reintegrate these consciousnesses back into the dragon, throwing the consciousness into chaos, stirring inclinations, emotions, and reactions. The heartbeat within the blood-red moon's chaos progenitor. Fuck, this is such a dog shit word! Continued to pound violently, causing the mountain-like brood hive to sink faster, now more than halfway submerged into crimson. The sound of the heartbeat resonated within a hidden corner of the world of ruins on the southern continent. Sua and Thierry, conducting their ritual, seemed to have grown hearts of their own, echoing. They watched as the Beyonders and bestowed transformed into a mass of flesh, merging with the chained god. The mummified figure, wrapped in bandages, thorns, and roses, sprouted into a tree of desire. The time has come. The help from the mother has arrived. Excited, Sua and Thierry spread incomprehensible thoughts while merging into the tree. Are you telling me these fucks have been... Their only point in all of the books was literally to merge with the Great Old One? What? For these lunatics, returning to the mother was the highest honor. The Tree of Desire grew, seemingly about to touch the astral world's barrier and tear a hole through it, collapsing towards the symbols, concepts, and representations that formed the Lord of Mysteries, happening because the help from the mother had not yet arrived, and Sua and Thierry had been deceived and misjudged the timing, because they had long been marked by Klein. Let's go! He said He said, "You guys are so fucking useless, I'm not even gonna let you be useful in death." When Lumen confronted the Primordial, the entire Tarot Club mobilized, but hidden within that action was an unknown purpose, unbeknownst to even the major arcana holders, to lure out COI and Thierry and the others who had been hiding using the powers of the Mother. At that moment, COI and Thierry had indeed escaped the entanglement of Palaz and Raynette and Cattleya. Unbeknownst to them, Klein, fully awakened as a half-great old one, silently followed, discovering the hiding places of the Indulgence faction, other followers of the Mother Tree of Desire, and where the Chained God was. If not for the fact that Chained God had effectively perished and his uniqueness had been deeply corrupted by the Mother, which rendered purification impossible in the short term, as it would aid the Mother Tree of Desire to establish a new, firm connection with the tenebrous world, COI and Thierry would have long been parasitized and controlled, leaving them no chance of survival to this day. Zaratul is so much better? You don't know what happened to Zaratul, do you, Crow? However, Klein had taken precautions. The moment this area had anomalies, he could sense it and respond. Bro, imagine, Klein is so goated with the sauce, he's fighting a great old one and is saying, "I got these 2 bums on my list. I'm watching them. Do something. I'm waiting. Trust me. She's strong, but I got my eyes on you. Go on. Do something." Oh yeah, a pillar. Not even a great old one, I apologize. A fucking pillar of the universe. Upon discovering the Rose School was conducting a ritual involving the uniqueness to open an astral world barrier, Klein refrained from stopping them, instead applied fooling and deceit, causing them to misjudge the timing, and redirect the target towards himself instead of the Mother. The next second, the tree extending into the astral world collapsed towards the Lord of Mysteries, condensing into a bloody mass encapsulating the Chain God's uniqueness, and Lumen grafted this mass onto an area above the grey fog. Within the consciousness space, the dragon destabilized from the returning Tao integrators, growing bewildered, its madness subsiding, no longer on pure instinct. Seizing this, Lumen activated the mark on his body, a new one. His eyes turned black and his clothing manifested from his consciousness billowed. Fooled. With a contract T power, Lumen had borrowed the fooling ability from the Fool. It could only be used twice, and if the dragon had remained purely instinct-driven, fooling would not have been so effective. Deceit works better. But Lumen had deliberately caused the Tao integrators to return, blending seamlessly as a part of it. Since they were already infused, its instincts harbored no resistance or rejection to them. Taking advantage of the dragon being fooled, its consciousness in a weakened state, Lumen's arms worked in pairs to grasp the dragon's body, and its iron black body, its jade-like white body, and the formless body supporting its head. Lumen's 5 faces twisted in unison, manifesting a colossal giant, ripping the dragon's bodies apart. Crimson flames spread everywhere, splattering onto the he said, I'm not only going to kill your body, I'm going to kill your consciousness. Flames spread everywhere, splattering onto the staircase, infinitely high. Lumen's central head opened wide and swallowed the dragon's black body. The 2 of his other arms pressed the dragon's jade-white body and beautiful head, shoving them between the closed eyes of Aurora and Jenna. Its chaotic face then sucked the majority of the malevolent dragon's chaotic head, and the dragon resisted desperately. It sought to create a calamity to destroy both Lumen and itself. If successful, while its now 3rd time destroyed consciousness would enter a deep slumber, waiting centuries or more to reawaken, but the enemy would completely die. At this moment, as Lumen devoured the dragon, he smiled and said, "And it's useless, even if I die. There's Medici in the City of Calamity's current cultivators. Once you're in a deep sleep, you won't resist." This was a lie. Neither Medici nor the strongest cultivators in the city were in a position to accommodate anytime soon. But it sufficed to deceive the dragon in such a fooled state. "I'm a visual person, Dr. Z. It's yucky." The dragon hesitated, and Lumen followed through with another thought. "If I'm not the first sacrifice, nor the last. You've seen me. If you choose to merge with me in a few minutes, your consciousness will recover. I won't be able to maintain balance. You'll replace me." This was the truth. I love how Lumin is literally pulling a "I won't lose much, only myself" here, but he's just so much more of a lunatic. He can't say it so elegantly. He's like, "Ah, do it, join with me. You'll become the main consciousness." It's like, okay, dude, chill. A thunderous heartbeat echoed from the depths of the blood-red moon's chaos. Primogenitor. Even with the countless marionettes and avatars interfering, the brood hive sank heavily, engulfed in crimson. Like the adopted child of Amon, he is. He is like, I learned from my godfather the best. It was fundamentally different from the earlier beat, symbolizing the Chaos Primogenitor's imminent re-entry to reality. Moment heralding the emergence of a new original creator, a being even the mother could only summon once every major month, or 2,160 years. If she borrowed the symbolism for less than 2,160 years, the primogenitor could truly descend into the real world, a consequence the mother could not predict. All she knew was that it would be truly devastating for her, detecting the crisis. She ignored everything else and prioritized merging with the brood hive. And afterwards, even in a weakened state for centuries, she could still escape the brood hive even if she failed to seize anything else. With the echo of the heartbeat and the manifestation of the symbolism, the barrier of the astral world began to undergo a change. The barrier originating from the original creator vanished entirely, as if the original creator had recalled it. Even the Lord of Mysteries was powerless to stop it. Excuse me? Eh? Eh? The apocalypse had arrived, and it came in this way. At that moment, Klein performed two actions. First, extending the slimy, aldrich tentacles into the thin grey fog and pulled the astral barrier from history and placed it in front of the circle of inevitability and other great old dominators. Of course, the projection lacked the oldest one status, much like the contradictions between the historical projection and uniqueness. Without the oldest one status, the barrier could only hold for a second or two. Second, Klein grafted nearly all living beings and their corresponding environments from the western continent into the protected zones. GG's boys, we tried our best. Rest in piss, everyone. Oof. Klein, it's time to go to another fucking place in the universe. I guess Klein could probably just stay, right? He's like, listen, you guys don't really want to fucking fight me, do you? I'll beat the piss out of, like, two. Listen, you guys will probably get me with all of you guys, but, like, really, I'll take down a couple of you at least. You really want to do this? I'll go, nah, probably not. We'll be on our way. I'm out of coffee. Alright. Give me like 2 minutes. Let me just go make some more coffee. We'll go for, I'm thinking, a little over another hour. If I can, I'd like to get to 65. I'm thinking that's a good place to stop, but somewhere around there. We'll see. There's like 8 of them and a pillar. Yeah, but trust. Klein can do it. Trust. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay. Coffee. Oh, relax, motherfucker. Jesus Christ. Harsh, it's me, not Mr. Chair. What are you talking about? As Klein completed these two actions, the blood-red moon ascended into the sky. Immediately after, the crimson liquid enveloping the moon surged up, coalescing into a colossal figure in an instant. The figure emitted an incredibly terrifying sound. Oh, the coffee's gonna be absolute ass. Are you kidding? I made it in like 2 minutes. What do you think? It's fine. It's fine. The figure emitted an incredibly terrifying suction, drawing forth a greyish-white fog from the infinite height and revealing the crimson moon and the strange brownish earth. It seemed as though these elements wished to return to their mother's embrace, but were held by the grey fog. Similarly, the characteristics of the beauty goddess within a protected zone broke off of its seal and approached the grey fog's edge. Convergence. Although the mother goddess of depravity was considerably weakened after accommodating the brood hive, she could still utilize convergence to reclaim the uniqueness of the mother pathway, the uniqueness of the moon pathway, and the corresponding sequence 1 characteristic, as long as there was no opposition on the same level. Taking advantage of the mother's focus on reclaiming her possessions, Klein lifted the seal over the western continent, causing the grey fog there to vanish. Only 5 Sephiroth Watchers, the Celestial Master, the Holy Monk, and the 3 others remain on the western continent. They did not fear the natural dispersal of the Mother's powers or its accompanying symbolism. As Klein removed the seal, the 8 stars before him grew exceptionally massive, eager to shatter the illusory barrier. This sight stirred a sense of despair in both the god of steam and machinery, Stiano, and god of knowledge, Herabergen. They could feel the oppressive aura emanating. At this moment, Klein echoed in their minds, "There is still a chance." And the gods turned to Klein and saw the Lord of Mysteries, holding a star-encrusted cane surrounded by grey fog, carrying the weight of history, stepping into the illusory barrier to confront the 8 old dominators as vast as the stars. Herabergen understood that Klein was addressed to them and the archangels. As Klein had fully awakened and become the Lord of Mysteries, Beyonders below Sequence 1 were no longer in danger. If the situation became untenable, Klein could abandon the Sephiroth uniqueness and Sequence 1 characteristics and lead the planet's entire population of normal race to a remote, habitable edge of the universe. In the absence of conflict or interest or instinctual desires, no one would willingly oppose the Lord of Mysteries. The sheer aura to say, there's 8 of them. But they know. Unless they're out of their fucking minds, they wouldn't really want to fight me, you know? But for the gods, outside the Mysteries pathways, escape was possible. Escape was impossible, rather. Even if they lowered their status, allowing avatars to flee, their avatars would likely be corrupted once their main bodies were devoured. There'd be no means of preservation. This was their last chance, realizing the Lord of Mysteries could not hold off 8 outer deities. For long, Herabergen turned his gaze to the real world, towards the protected zones. A liquid of pure chaos encompassing all colors and possibilities had seeped, coalescing into a massive cross. The other great old one has arrived! I was literally like, bro, Adam's gonna be here. Adam's gonna be like, son, I would miss this for the fucking world. Run me my fucking fade, brother. On this cross hung a figure formed entirely of radiant light, with a head that retained a human shape adorned with a thick golden beard. A shadow with 5 heads trailing behind him and a golden sun hovering above. The figure opened his eyes, revealing a pair of clear, infant-like golden irises. He nodded towards Herabergen and Leodero and said, "Come, my kings of angels!" He said, bro, he's still He said, "You may be all grown up, but you're still my baby boys. Get the fuck over here." Amidst the reverberating, layered voice, Herabergen and Leodero were dazed, as if they had returned to the past. Herabergen flew out of the astral world, revealing his form, a bronze dragon the size of a city. The dragon's body resembling a soft, foldable, thick tower of illusory books. The closer one moved towards the dragon's head, the darker and more ominous the layers of books and eyes became. At that dragon's bow, a nearly black brass vertical eye opened, gazing at the cross. The brass dragon ignited, enveloped in colorless flames and quiet, eldritch black flames. Dragging his elongated body and blazing tail, the dragon hurtled towards the figure on the cross, and at that moment, Herabergen chose self-destruction, merging with Grisha. This was not entirely a good thing. It had dire consequences. Grisha was battling the primordial God Almighty's will and was at a disadvantage, with no chance to become the omniscient, omnipotent one. In the short term, Herabergen's residual consciousness would help Grisha's resist the primordial God Almighty, forming a fragile balance, allowing Grisha to better control the body and provide stronger protection for the barriers after the Great Old One shattered it, ensuring it remained unattainted by the outer deity's corruption and power until the Lord of Mysteries seized the opportunity to transfer everyone. Dude, the sheer aura, a god said, "Lord, take me now." Upon seeing him, he said, "I get it. Take me now." A god, one of the fucking great gods, just said, "Take me now." One of the orthodox gods. In the short term, however, integrating the White Pathway's uniqueness at this moment would enhance the primordial God Almighty's will and spirit, accelerating his recovery, significantly disadvantaging Grisha in their struggle. Within the protected zones, Herabergen looked sky high and sighed. In the astral world, Leodero appeared in a human form. Middle-aged man in black armor wielding a trident. He glanced at the western continent and snorted at Evernight and Stiano. "The storm will not destroy itself, nor shall it surrender." You're not that guy, pal. Worst thing in the book. Crackling sound erupted as the King of the Skies, Emperor of the Seas, Lord of Calamity. You're not the Lord of Calamity, what are you talking about? And God of Storms transformed into a layer of ball lightning shooting down from the astral world at near light speed towards the crimson moon, the colossal figure, illuminating the sky, illuminating the entire world. Within the consciousness space, boom! LEMMiNO and the malevolent dragon heard that peculiar heartbeat. Within the formerly severely damaged, the dimmed cheek and tutor face grew clear once again. His entire chaotic vortex face began to spin. Meanwhile, the dragon's two lateral heads instinctively sought to merge but were blocked by LEMMiNO's mouth and his own chaotic head. Taking advantage of this, LEMMiNO swallowed the dragon's iron-black body whole. Under this influence, the beautiful head that had been trying to merge with its other half ceased resisting and fused with the face of Aurora and Jenna, bringing back the imprints of Aurora and Jenna's past self in the mirror, which swiftly repaired the corresponding fragments of their soul. LEMMiNO had accommodated the dragon, immediately feeling a torrent of madness and ferocity. These were partially absorbed by the chaotic vortex faces, drawn away by the lingering consciousness of the City of Calamity's Tao integrators, and suppressed by the combined wills of LEMMiNO, Aurora, and Jenna. On both sides of LEMMiNO's body, bulges began to form and writhe, each developing into a new body, these bodies connected to his original flesh, tightly adhering and fused. On the right was a pure female figure clad in a sacred white robe, her hands milky and ethereal. Her head featured Aurora at the front and Jenna at the back, able to freely rotate in any direction. The one on the left was half female, half male, with a head composed of cheek, and the chaotic vortex face and Alista Tudor, wielding a charred banner. In the center was LEMMiNO himself, adorned with long blood-red hair and iron-black eyes. A prominent design of the true dragon of the western continent etched between his brows, suppressing the madness and will of the dragon. Aurora and Jenna's eyelashes on the right quivered lightly before their eyes opened, revealing smiles. It really is possible to resurrect this way. Unfortunately, it won't last more than a few minutes. LEMMiNO meant the balance within his body would not hold for long. The balance was predicated on the weakened state of the dragon's consciousness and will. Once the dragon recovered, the balance would collapse. The two uniquenesses in his current body were closely linked to the mirrored original creator, counterbalanced by the chaotic vortex corresponding to the primordial God Almighty. The trifecta of forces maintained a delicate balance. Although LEMMiNO, Aurora, and Jenna had achieved corresponding status and their wills had been strengthened, they were only supported by 2 Sequence 1 characteristics each. What? Three total. Yeah, one of each pathways for each of them. Yeah. In this situation, should the dragon's consciousness awake, LEMMiNO, Aurora, and Jenna would have little means to resist unless the primordial God Almighty sought active resurrection within the chaotic vortex, forming a larger, more suitable framework. But no such fortune would come to pass. This was the consequence of forcibly driven and filled to reach this point. With her hair turned black, her eyes restored to deep brown, and her appearance and charm elevated to above the sequences, Aurora listened to LEMMiNO's sentiments, her expression calm as she smiled. When I died in Cordu, I felt wronged, angry, and resentful. But when you became a demoness of an aging, I began to sense everything around me, to perceive what was happening. I came to terms with it. Death isn't a bad thing. When I learned about the dragon's lock and its story, and when I saw the actions of these souls, I found greater peace. Our predecessors and forebears could sacrifice, so can I. Death can be as light as a feather or as heavy as a mountain. I am willing to accept the destiny that awaits me. When I killed Hugh Artois, Jenna laughed. Yeah, I thought even if I die, I must avenge my mother and those victims. These bastards can't keep laughing. Oh, this is the first time we get to see the real Aurora, not the dream version. True. Wait, are Jenna and Aurora gonna sacrifice themselves so LEMMiNO can have all 6 characteristics to maintain a more fragile trifecta balance? When I advanced to a demoness of an aging, I thought, even if I die, I must save you. You have unfulfilled wishes. Now it brings to mind something that Franca joked about. Would you rather be a coward for a lifetime or a hero for 5 minutes? To die with you and Aurora to save everyone. I think that is the most romantic thing in the world. As LEMMiNO listened, his heart calmed and his self-destructive tendencies eased. He looked at the throne on the steps and smiled. Then let's complete the final step. In the real world, the mass of entangled lightning approached the moon, the colossal figure at near light speed, tearing through the void, but froze beside the moon. Each strain of light tainted scarlet, gaining new life. The terrifying lightning disintegrated, its 2 brightest remnants guided by Klein through grafting towards the cross above the protected zone. In the next moment, the explosion and aftershock of the lightning unfurled, erupting a deafening roar. The natural light of the moon scattered and dissipated, revealing a breach. In the astral world, Amanesis, holding a golden-shaped bird ornament in her hand, stepped forward, leaving a single remark for Stiano. It is our turn to stake our lives. Stiano was about to follow when he sensed something and turned his gaze to the heights of the real world. A deep crimson meteor appeared, dragging a long tail of flames as it plunged towards the moon and the colossal figure. The entire sky and the world engulfed in crimson. In the year 1360, as July faded to its final days, crimson rained from the heavens. As the crimson meteor descended, the entire world outside the zones erupted in flames. Across the cosmos, catastrophic disasters across various star systems froze before intensifying or subsiding. Wasn't the prophecy that LEMMiNO was gonna go mad? Before the great old dominators attacking the astral barrier, hand-drawn black holes in their accretion disks materialized. The energy seas depicted like paintings receded, plunging into cold, deathly silence. Oh shit, are we about to get another great old one? Am I crazy? You're free to change music between Final Decision when we get our ass kicked and Fate when we're winning. Final Decision and Fate? Which one are those ones? What? Oh, crimson would rain from the heavens. Oh, I see. Behind the great old dominators attacking the astral barrier, hand-drawn black holes and accretion disks materialized. The energy seas depicting like paintings receded, plunging into the cold, deathly silence. Numerous calamities descended upon this place. These calamities were deliberately engineered by LEMMiNO's symbolic manifestations triggered during his full accommodation of the City of Calamity and his advancement to the origins of disaster. He harbored no illusions that these indiscriminate calamities could harm the great old dominators. His sole aim was to sow chaos, giving Mr. Fool a brief respite. At that moment, the sound of plucked strings resonated. The black hole and its accretion disk, already like hand-drawn illusions, grew thinner and smaller, losing its conceptual waste. The black hole, now a true painting, tore at the dimensions bearing at it, attempting to absorb them from within and alter the state. A massive, terrifying mouth appeared, biting down on the canvas, carrying the black hole and devouring it. Ludwig! Obviously, I know it's the primordial hunger, but it's funny. Multiple abstracts stomachs emerge, expanding and contracting as they struggled against the undigested entities. Primordial hunger, the cleanser of all things. Other outer deities took measures to suppress the calamities erupting behind them. Meanwhile, the crimson meteor swallowed by the muddy radiance emanating from the red moon. The ocean of blood-stained light alternated between destruction and rebirth, gradually slowing the meteor's approach towards the figure. However, beyond the sea of blood, everything else was set aflame by the meteor. Even the moonlight that once illuminated the western continent was burned away. Seizing the opportunity, taking advantage of the brief chaos and the reduced pressure, Klein set forth a projection of himself and turned his gaze to the protected zones. Within them, Trier remained tranquil, and on the terrace, Bernadette had already taken out her crown, adorned with dark gemstones, holding it in both hands. The crown abruptly flew into the air. The crown flew into the air, leaving the protected zones and ascending into the skies over the western continent. Accompanying it were the brass-bound book descending from above the grey fog in 2 beams of light, one from behind the cross and the other from within the protected zone. In the blink of an eye, they arrived before the magnificent stone door, standing amidst the clouds, falling into the hands of the towering figures, crowned with an emperor's diadem and veiled with cascading tassels. The figure nodded towards the astral world before turning away, returning to summit the 33 heavens and seating himself on the throne of the Celestial's Thirch. He immediately placed the crown adorned with dark gemstones atop his head, overlapping with the Emperor's crown. His hands clutched the brass-bound book, while the 2 beams of light spiraled for a second before merging within his body. Within the protected zone, the disappearance of the Emperor's uniqueness prompted Bernadette to sigh. This had been one of Klein's true purposes when LEMMiNO visited her with a prophecy. Through the genie's description of the urgency of the situation and his suggestion to strengthen the Nation of Disorder, Bernadette understood. He intended to borrow the uniqueness of the Black Emperor, and at that moment, Bernadette had made her decision. Like, someone from the Western continent is, like, effectively acting as, like, the great, effectively acting as, like, the dual pathway god of the Black Emperor and the fucking whatever Justiciar pathway. No, I don't know how he's. I don't know what's happening behind the Sephiroth itself. Oh right. Oh, I see what you mean. Behind this, the figure of Roselle wearing a luxurious golden crown materialized. With a complex tone, she said, "As long as the rules and order he established remain, he can be resurrected." Bernadette muttered to herself. Can someone with the Nation of Disorder, with all its uniqueness and characteristics, truly become a great old dominator? No. The Nation of Disorder's consciousness is interwoven with too many external spirits. It is not a complete birth and remains chaotic, even with all its components, and cannot undergo fundamental change. It may take decades or even centuries for a new unified consciousness to emerge, enabling it to truly manifest in reality. The only way to alleviate the Nation of Disorder to the level of a great old dominator is to unseal and release the genie. But what that genie may do afterwards is unpredictable. For now, the Lord of Mysteries can only temporarily enhance the Nation of Disorder to a state closer to that of a great old one, allowing it to play a role in the upcoming battle. Bro, he can... No, this is unfair. This is genuinely unfair. Klein is literally acting as the fucking... their fucking shield. Klein is acting like their fucking healer to buff people. Klein is acting like their main fucking damage absorber. Like, Klein is dealing as the main fucking DPS. What is happening? What are you fucking lunatics doing? God damn it. Jesus, do something. You can't be buffing everyone and fucking taking most of the fucking damage and DPSing. What the fuck? You bum fucks, do something. No, well, when we get closer to the apocalypse, I will ascend to the rank of a great old one and assist. Then do something! Even if the Nation of Disorder births a new consciousness and becomes a shadow of order before his resurrection, even with the Lord of Mysteries' help, he could still revive through the rules. But he would only be able to reclaim 2 portions of the Prince of Abolition characteristics. Bernadette then turned to Roselle and said, "What about you? If the apocalypse passes, the mirror world would have a relatively normal ruler. By then, the reflection world within the mirror will no longer be dark." Following the Lord... well, yeah, Klein is the only pillar, and LEMMiNO is the only complete great old one, because he's not a pillar, because doesn't he need to... He needs to do something with the fucking... with the river, right? Like the river of eternal darkness, he needs to absorb that too or something? Something like this? I can't remember. It was something like this. Following the Lord of Storms, Leodero's suicidal attack. Dude, what a fucking loser. And the descent of this calamity of destruction, the goddess's blockade over the western continent was broken. Evernight and Stiano seize the opportunity to descend from the astral world to the Dragon Lock Tower. The former wore a layered yet unadorned classical gown. Her face shrouded in veil, ethereal and graceful, the latter a middle-aged man composed of numerous depictions of civilization. Amanasis nodded at the sect master of the Howley lineage and said, "Let us begin." The sect master closed his eyes and a broad, dark, colorless river flowed out from the void, reaching the goddess. Within the dark waters, figures like the Howley sect master appeared. Amidst them, the most lucid was a man wearing a rusted iron crown, the underworld Taoist. Amanasis pointed at the flowing river and said, "Let the river of eternal darkness bear witness. I, Amanasis, pledge to strengthen the Howley lineage, ensuring all disciples achieve balance within internal and external cultivation and attain characteristics. Should I break this oath, I shall suffer a backlash from the Cipher and sink eternally to the depths of the river." Having already reached an agreement, the Taoist nodded, extending his hand, with a texture like jade yet marred by cracks, and placed it atop the goddess's head. "You shall be sect master." With these words, streams of radiance rose from the river of eternal darkness, weaving into complex orderly symbols that entered her body. Amanasis found herself standing in the broad dark river, with the shadows and bones of the Howley sect masters gnawed at her. Already in partial control of a tributary of river of eternal darkness, she remained calm, resisting the chaotic consciousness infused. The straight, illusory river flowed through her and merged. So has she now become a great old one? Because that was all she was missing, no? Yes? Okay. Stiano sat cross-legged before the Celestial Master. "You have two choices. First, acknowledge me as your master and join my sect. I shall grant you the supreme clarity talisman and pass down the position of the Celestial Master to you, allowing you to control what you may call as the Knowledge Moor. But this contains a risk." As the intent reverberated, the silhouettes began to emerge in the moor behind the Celestial Master. They are the Celestial Masters and the accomplished cultivators of the past. Under the influence of the unborn ancient Moor, every master since the first's integration with the Tao must possess either corresponding bloodlines and complete cultivation. You lack these. Through the Supreme Clarity Talisman, I can help you accommodate the knowledge more quickly, but afterwards you will face a backlash. Whether you can endure and resolve the resentment of the past masters and the accomplished cultivators, or avoid being drawn into the moor and become a wandering spirit, depends on you. The second is to acknowledge me as your master and join my sect, and I will grant you the 3 Caverns and Fire Thunders Talisman. I love how it's like... So, like, everything else aside, you gotta acknowledge me as your daddy. If you do not say those exact words, you cannot win. Listen, it's not for me, this is for you. It has nothing to do with me. Listen, I don't care at all, but like, it needs to be done this way. After corresponding with the fellow Taoist Zhou, I have improvised... Wait, the fellow Taoist Zhou? Is this referring to Klein? I have improved the 3 Sovereigns Calamity Dispelling Formation based on the experience of the predecessors. With this, you can join me as a true disciple in powering the formation. You will lend me your powers and allow me to integrate with the Tao and briefly combat the vile demons from beyond. The fellow Taoist Zhou is hilarious. In an instant, the Celestial Master's thoughts were understood by Stiano with the infusion of knowledge. Can either method result in the emergence of a temporary Great Old One? Neither. We both lack time. Unlike the new master of the Howley lineage, you have not yet preemptively gained partial control of the Tao. He said, so Evernight Goddess was kind of standing on business, and you were kind of jerking off the whole time, so, like, you'll get some power, but you're not going to be at her level. I'm sorry. She was doing stuff. You're just fucking standing around, doing nothing. Not inventing stuff? Loser. God of knowledge, my ass. Or God of steam machinery, my ass. These two knowledge can only bring us closer to the Tao, not integrate with it. Knowing time was pressing, Stiano deliberately kneeled before him and said, I am willing to acknowledge you as my master and become part of the formation. In the interest of urgency, we will simplify the rites to granting a title and talisman. From this day, your Tao name shall be True Blessing. Alright. Okay, so I want to go to 65. I think that'll leave 15 chapters for tomorrow, and that'll be like a perfect 50-50 split. Does that make sense? What is this fucking title? Dude, this is... Okay, we've genuinely just entered... Okay, we've genuinely just entered cultivation at this point. Like, what the fuck is this? Like... Look at this. Within the solemn Buddhist land adorned... don't say Amitabha, bro. Don't... Within the solemn Buddhist land, adorned with glazed and amber decorations, countless Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Arhats, and the Buddha and the Wisdom Kings atop the Mount Sumeru, attentively listening to the great Buddha, whose golden body filled the space between the heavens and the earth. At that moment, clouds illuminated the sky, flowers fell like rain, and the golden lotuses blossomed to the ground. Suddenly, two streaks of light flew from another world, landing on the great side of the Buddha and transforming. To the left of the Buddha's golden body appeared a boy, 8 or 9, dressed in a child formal suit. His baby fat framed by medium-length silver hair. Will? To the right stood a young man, draped in a linen robe, his figure soft and elegant, his long hair flowing elegantly. Ouroboros? None other than Will Septon and Ouroboros. Will accommodated the uniqueness of the fate pathway and held a sequence 1 Snake of Mercury, while Ouroboros had 2 Snake of Mercury characteristics. As soon as Will and Ouroboros appeared, the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Arhats, and the Wisdom Kings, who had been intently listening to the Buddha ancestors' teaching, turned their gaze upon them. Their expressions betrayed greed and yearning, as if they all wished to draw near, sniff, or take a bite. On either side of the great Buddha face, the 2 mouths suddenly split open, revealing razor-sharp teeth. Eh? The sound of the bell echoed from infinite heights, and time froze. The great Buddha regained a dignified, compassionate expression. The mouths on their faces disappeared. What am I reading? Seeing this, the holy monk in the Dragonlock Tower returned to the Buddhist kingdom. He glanced around and pressed his hands together and recited, Merciful Buddha, I thank you for your efforts. Seeing this, Will breathed a sigh of relief, imitating the great Buddha's posture, crossing his legs and sitting down. Ouroboros maintained a serene expression. He said, Not my god. Immediately after, the Buddha's Bodhisattvas, Arhats, and Wisdom Kings transform into beams of various colored light, returning to the great Buddha's golden body. All Buddhas converged to the origin. While everyone had a Buddha nature, there was only one Buddha in the world. Meanwhile, the masters of the Shadow Cottage departed from the Dragonlock Tower, returning to the boundless Tenebrous world. Wait, Queen isn't here, damn it. Here, another figure, Artie Nabber Disley. You're unwilling to accept this fate too, aren't you? The master of the Shadow Cottage said. Would you be content if you were in my shoes? Nabber Disley retorted. If they want to consume us, they'll have to pay a price. Fellow Taoists, we have known each other spiritually for a long time. How about collaborating this time? I came to cooperate, Nabber Disley's voice grew louder as he returned to his Farbauti era. The master of the Shadow Cottage laughed, and together with Farbauti stepped into the pitch black without hesitation. Everyone's cooperating? Well, no, sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Everyone is being a bum bitch and cooperating, except my goat Leodero, who said, nah, bitch, I'd win. In the real world, as Lumion, in the form of a crimson meteor, drew closer to the true body of the mother, his progress became arduous. Finally, he saw the colossal figure. That's why he got low dipped. What do you mean? No! He distracted her for like a tenth of a second. It was as if countless birthing organs were haphazardly piled together. Don't say no, Dift. Don't say no, Dift. Yet this massive figure had a head resembling that of a human woman. Her features, facial structures, long brown hair, crimson eyes, flawless, embodying the very concept of beauty, the symbol of beauty in the universe. At that moment, even Lumion hesitated to strike, but attracted by beauty, Cheek, Aurora, and Jenna, driven by Lumion's will, used charm on the mother, seemingly drawing closer to her. As a result, the mother did not immediately attack Lumion, who stood in the three-bodied, three-headed form. Yet her symbolic nature continued to influence the area. As Lumion drew closer, he felt the effects of new life. The weakened consciousness within him began to experience a new life. Cheek's consciousness and Tudor's gained new life. The will of the primordial God Almighty gained a new life. The divided consciousness of the mirrored original one gained new life, and even the consciousness of the malevolent dragon gained new life. With the dragon's rapid recovery, the suppression exerted by Lumion, Aurora, and Jenna faltered. What had been a fragile balance capable of lasting several minutes seemed poised to collapse instantly. In the face of these changes, Lumion neither feared nor panicked, and he seized the opportunity to break free from the allure of beauty and smiled, to gaze at the astral world. Klein, who was now guarding the astral world alone. Do you see what I mean? Withdrew the illusory barrier and turned towards the real world, like a magician about to perform, raised both hands. He did not immediately transfer humanity from the protected zone. Such an action would cause significant commotion. While it would be simple for Klein to shield a few dozen or a few hundred people and quietly move them to the edge of the universe, the great old dominators would not be fools to let billions survive unnoticed. Of course, if there were only one or two great old ones outside the barrier, Klein may have had a way to reduce them to fools, but now 8 of them stood watch. Dude, the aura to say if there was only one or two great old ones, Klein could fool them is crazy. Because unless you're of like a couple specific pathways, that is the peak that you can literally reach, and Klein's still like 2 of them? You guys are fucking idiots, bro. During the previous Tarot Club meeting, Force had speculated that a pillar could contend with 2 great old ones. Gearman's at the time remained non-committal, still a proxy. Now fully awakened, Klein's answer was that judgment was both correct and incorrect. Correct if confronted by great old dominators with specific symbols capable of countering the Lord of Mystery's abilities, in such as Marionettas, Parasites, and Blink. In such case, Klein could only rely on the symbolism of a pillar to contend with 2. Incorrect that in the absence of such countermeasures, there was no fundamental difference between battling 2 or 8. He said, It's like an angel fighting the sequence 6. Is there a difference between fighting 2 and 8? I'm gonna kill you all the same. Like, what's the difference? Get fucking rolled. Among the great old dominators outside, several possessed symbolisms that countered Klein. Therefore, he dared not be overconfident, intending to wait until the dominators rushed in impatiently after the barrier cracked and plunged the situation into chaos, allowing them to secretly evacuate the beings within the barriers. But at that moment, they would be fixated on the Sephiroth and uniqueness, disregarding all. Even if they noticed Klein's motives, they would not expend any efforts to intervene. Yet this plan was not foolproof. Certain dominators with relevant symbols may secretly inform their barriers to disrupt the evacuation. I feel like this circle of inevitability is like a really rough one for the for Klein in particular, because Klein is all about fooling, but if he can fix the endpoint, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, for example, if he was to make like a fixed endpoint that all of humanity, that all normal humans die, Klein can do like, yeah, like I know Klein obviously has ways of fooling and stuff of like, okay, well, it could be like a spiritual death, well, it could be like a death of, you know, whatever, but like in general, it's still, he can, yeah, I know, Dr. Z, I know, relax, I was gonna get there, but like, in general, he's like he's like as close to a counter as Lord of the Mysteries will have, because he can fix endpoints and processes, which is rough. The Great Old Ones themselves had no interest in characteristics below Sequence 1, but their followers may think so. Hearing the cracking of the illusory barrier, Klein shifted his gaze to the Mother and LEMMiNO. LEMMiNO, now fully displaying his three-bodied, three-headed, six-armed form, gazing at the Mother who had just escaped charm. "That's what I've been waiting for," he jested, "to let you impose new life." Could Klein use this new life to give Aurora and Jenna an actual body and life? Could he like fool the new life to be like, haha, that's exactly what we're looking for? Obviously that has the problem of bringing down Lumen's level again, but could that work? The charm was to ensure that you wouldn't develop vigilance or spiritual forewarning, allowing the new life influence to occur naturally. As long as I'm not dead, the symbolism of the Mother within me remains valid. Previously, my rank was too low and I lacked the corresponding elements. Using the symbolism, I could only disguise myself to provoke the Broodhive's rebellious will. It was difficult to harm you. But now, I am above the sequence, differing from you only in the symbolism of a pillar. In the new life you imposed just activated the feminine and masculine halves of the original creator. Isn't this equivalent to me nurturing the original creator? Similar to your nurturing of the chaos primogenitor, the original creator of the next universe. Most critical element now complete. The genie previously hinted at using my uniqueness and Mr. Fool's symbolism, combined with the warning about your impending accommodation of the Broodhive. It became clear. You possess a unique symbol of limited use, pointing towards the original creator, one that I can align with. After Mr. Fool's awakening, he did not rush to become the Lord of Mysteries, deceiving you while roaming the continents and gathering truths from your followers. Thus I have come to you, waiting for your instinctive and indiscriminate influence to awaken the mirrored creator. Moreover, the Broodhive is simulated by you, Lugano, who once belonged to you, now pledges allegiance to me. And the phoenix egg deep within the underworld will soon be swallowed by me. You're more alike than ever. You are the great mother who nurtures the oldest one, Amibella and Zadis, and so am I. In the blink of an eye, Lumen conjured the grafted phoenix egg into his hand and swallowed it. Eh? Then he brought his hands together, forming a massive black flame surrounded by chaos and destruction, and drove it into his own body and smiled. Now I am equivalent to you. Killing me equals killing you. I don't think that works on a Great Old One, bro. I think she just says like, are you dumb? Yeah. I can just give myself new life. I don't think that works on her the way he thinks it does. I think now is like a great time for our like darkest moment, you know? Klein or Lumen, after all this effort, kills himself, and the mother's just like, the fuck was all that for? What? You came here to die? Eh? Klein is just face palming as hard as humanly possible. He's like, what the fuck, dude? The mother, having broken free from charm, began to change as soon as Lumen took hold of the phoenix egg. Her body collapsed inwardly to her abdomen, transforming into a nest or womb, reverting to an embryonic state for rebirth. The process would reset all symbols associated with her except those intrinsic to her. LEMMiNO would no longer be able to exploit the mystical law of similarity to co-ate himself with her. Previously, the mother had refrained from using this method to rid of herself for symbolic reasons. First, because she had just descended to the barrier using her symbolic power, and when she was immediately fooled and deceived by Klein, using the core aggregation of instinct of godhood. She was then guided into the grey fog, sealing the western continent. Her focus was on claiming the brood hive and did not wish to reset and lose useful symbolisms. Second, during the process of accommodating the brood hive, rebirth was impossible. I'm gonna genuinely not. As the mother began to collapse and reset, Klein abandoned the maintenance of the illusory barrier, listening to its creaks and near shattering, and raised his hands and revealed a massive door of light. Cipher Castle. Klein was now utilizing one of the core symbols of the Lord of Mysteries. With a resounding clang, the mother's collapse and rebirth slowed. What should have been instantaneous now required 2 or 3 seconds. This was a change, one of the core symbols of the Lord of Mysteries. Control over changing, slowing, accelerating, halting, or introducing errors into transformation. The mother's attempt to revert to an embryonic state and reset fell under this domain. Previously, Klein had not used the symbolism of change to influence the mother's accommodation, because doing so required the full exertion of the Cipher Castle's power, and at the time, he needed to maintain the barrier and contend with 8 other great old ones. Furthermore, the mother, having invoked the new symbolism of the Chaos Primogenitor, was in a prolonged state of weakness that couldn't be recovered using new life. This made any influence over her transformation significantly more effective. With the mother's collapse into an embryonic state delayed, Lumion smiled and resolutely drove the sword into his own body. In an instant, the flames erupted, consuming his body. The consciousness of Cheek, Alista, divided halves of the original creator, the remnants of the primordial god almighty, the consciousness of the dragon, and even Lumion's own, along with Aurora and Jenna's. Lumion's body began to collapse, nearing its annihilation and chaos. To return, to bring disaster on oneself and embrace destruction was the truest embodiment of the origins of disaster. Amidst the silent flames, Lumion turned his head, exchanging glances at Aurora and Jenna, both of whom bore expressions of pain. He looked at the mother, her twisted face serene with delight. He saw flames imbued with chaos and destruction erupting over her, her body crumbling, ejecting various birthing organs reduced to ash almost instantly. Having descended to the origins of disaster, Lumi no longer required Mr. Fool's assistance to harness symbolic powers. The mother, flawless in her beauty, a concept that equaled beauty itself, threw her head back and let out a banshee-like scream of agony. Dude, true, the highest DPS that exists. You know what? Conceptually, conceptually, Lumion is not that much more different than Ares. Obviously, Ares is a bum bitch, but, you know, conceptually. What he could have been. Many of the clients surrounding the area withered instantly, collapsing into death and returning to the embrace of the mother. The entire planet lost its vitality, and the stars in the sky dimmed. The tremors reverberated through the endless cosmos. Reality quaked. The accelerated... Weirdly enough, Aaron, Klein would be more like a bard. The accelerated collapse of Lumion's consciousness and body gained a boost from death and desolation, further amplifying his destruction, thus in turn worsened the mother's collapse. As the mother was reduced to a thin, womb-like shell surrounding her form, the flames of chaos could no longer penetrate deeper, the indestructible. The mother's symbolism of indestructibility Her indestructibility in nature meant that the primordial God Almighty and the celestial worthy of heaven and earth for blessing. Her spirit would never be eradicated and would recover over time, representing the indestructibility of her soul and body. She's a tank. She would never perish unless she encountered the original creator who could make the impossible happen, or the fourth pillar symbolizing the end to everything was born, or she overextended the chaos primogenitor's symbolism. Of course, Klein and Lumin had never aimed to kill her, aware of her honorific title. Their plan had always been to wound her and drive her out of the astral barrier. At this moment, having used the chaos primogenitor symbolism and entered a prolonged state of weakness... sorry. My answer to what question, Chris? Simultaneously, Lumin's exploitation of the symbolic correspondence and calamity symbol had dealt her a devastating blow, achieving the first stage of the magician's plan. However, the problem was that the second stage could never be realized, as the astral barrier was no more. She literally cannot die. Yeah. True. Klein remained calm, though, and unaffected by disappointment, raising his cane infused with the black door of light's projection in his will. His eyes reflected the image of the mother reduced to her lost organs and embryonic state, banishment and sealing, previously attempting to extract a pillar in reality. Wait, no, Klein, don't banish her, what is he doing? Can't we do a, what do you call it? A genie thing with her? Put her in the lamp. Imagine. It's like, I shall grant your wish, but you must sire 9 children in return. A law of equivalent exchange. Previously, attempting to extract a pillar in reality from the planet would have been impossible. But now, with the mother severely wounded, an opportunity had emerged. As starlight fell, the mother's distorted form changed. She transformed into a colossal, ethereal oak tree rooted deeply in reality, supporting the heavens and intertwining with the fabric of the universe. Pillar symbolism. The mother invoked her dominion over everything, embodying the symbolism of a pillar. The immense, incomprehensible tree shook violently. A wilderness unfurled around it as a greenish mistletoe branch broke free from the treetop, flying above Lumien's crumbling form and raining down like dew droplets. The form of destruction engulfed Lumien was extinguished, and his collapsing body was halted by the effects of new life. Among the consciousness within him, only his auroras and Jenna's were revitalized, restoring balance for a few minutes. At that moment, the mother chose to save him. Of course, saving him was also an act of self-preservation. She did not wish for Lumien to die prematurely before the symbolism was removed, worsening her state, nor did she want for him to lose balance and unleash something terrifying, resulting in her symbolic connection and lead to the Chaos Primogenitor's emergence in the real world. As the dew-like droplets fell, the immense oak tree supporting the world leveraged Lumien's banishment power and vanished. Something you have to say now? I have to say that I did not think Cuttlefish would take a shortcut, Sid. That's all I have to say, okay? I had too much faith in him. That is my own fault. The pillar in reality, the mother goddess of depravity, had left the planet and reappeared beyond the solar system. She transformed into a crimson liquid, enveloping as a gas giant, and began reverting to her embryonic state, initiating new life to reset her form. This time, though no influence was exerted by the Lord of Mystery's power, the severe wounds and compounded weakness delayed her recovery. The symbolism of destruction seemed to obstruct new life. From a great distance, the Crimson Planet seemed to gaze at the location containing parts of herself, severing symbolic connections and healing her wounds, waiting for a new opportunity. When the Great Old Ones descended into competition, weakening or suppressing the Lord of Mysteries, she could return to reclaim all and gain even more. Klein did not pursue her to strike again, and Lumen did not exploit the connection for further self-destruction. Both understood her indestructible nature. Wounding and driving her away for a time was already the outcome they wanted. Any additional efforts would just be wasted. After more pressing matters loomed as Klein heard a faint but distinctive sound of shattering. The last barrier he had pulled from the fog of history had collapsed. What Lumen saw next was a terrifying star cluster composed of erupting suns. The lifeless planet beneath his feet shook violently, was torn apart to fragments. Boys, one planet down. How many planets we losing today? I'm gonna say 4. I say we lose 4 planets today. Insanity, how's it going, man? As the planet was torn into fragments, the 3-headed, 3-bodied, 6-armed Lumion remained unaffected. How could Calamity itself ever be harmed by disaster? At some point, he had already taken out the box of the Great Old Ones and opened its 3rd layer. Inside there was nothing, yet clear, unnerving sounds of chewing and digestion. Simultaneously, the right hand of the body housing Aurora and Jenna reached in, pulling from the void a mass of chaotic liquid. Then the hand clenched into a fist, absorbing the liquid, annihilating the contents within, incorporating them into Lumen's consciousness, specifically into the feminine aspect of the origins of disaster, balancing the residual corruption. As Lumen performed this, a massive cross above the protected zones caused an even larger tide of chaos to surge. In the next moment, the terrifying gravitational pull of the immense star clusters and the disintegration of the fragmented planet caused the protective zones in the chaos sea that submerged in it to tremble, as if on the verge of collapse. And the massive cross began to bend, yet no matter what, their zones remained stable, at least for now. Clown. Sorry, it's been a lot of reading the past 2 weeks, man. 4 more chapters, we're almost there, come on. Klein felt the great old dominators rushing to breach the planet, seizing the opportunity, directing his projection of the bluish-black door to the protective zones, where it scattered countless fragments of starlight. The chaos sea enveloping the Wait, does that mean Klein is the greatest clown then? The chaos sea enveloping the protective sea abruptly contracted, retreating back into the shadowy figure on the cross. All that remained was a patch of deep darkness and a few dangerous artifacts. The protective zones vanished. They disappeared. Klein instantly transferred billions of humans, countless other species in the scenes from the dream, to a planet at the edge of the universe. A magician's trick: drape a cloth over a table and whip it away. Within the zone, still functioning but only 5 minutes left, froze. She said to everyone, "There's no need for me to transfer you anymore. We have reached the destination. Everyone has." What? It wasn't until Forrest finished speaking that Geo and Ludwig and the others realized the environment around them had changed. At that moment, Forrest said, "Enemies are approaching from space." As she spoke, Forrest reached out her hand and, bursting with its dazzling starlight, conjured a fantastical screen in front of her. Angels, by the way, didn't even know it is true. I feel like if they said like 300 million humans were surviving, I'd believe it. Billion still alive? True. That's crazy. On the screen were shadowy figures traversing through different dimensions, as well as faint, unattainably high humanoid shapes. Sequence 2, Dimensional Shadow. Sequence 1, Observer of the Painter Pathway. There are more than one of each. Have they discovered Mr. Fool's transfer and seen through the deceit, locating this planet and sending their blessed? Well, Force's consciousness resonated, but they didn't descend into the dimension. They understood that relying solely on their angelic powers would not be enough to deal with the numerous prey here. They summoned visitors, seeking reinforcements. The next second, grotesque creatures, one after another, arrived through the hostels. Women with closed eyes, weaving webs of fate, others wielding illusory, silvery dirks that seemed capable of severing the threads of fate. Some belonged to different species, appearing humanoid or bizarre. All had 3 heads and 6 arms, with expressions ranging from malice to rage to numbness. Well, I guess true, because we also have to remember, it's so far ahead in the future. What if the current population of humans is like 50 billion? And now like 20 and like 90% of them die. That still leaves 5 billion. Because the one thing humans don't stop doing is fucking increasing our fucking numbers. Some were radiant beings of starlight with pairs of wings, while others were colossal, transparent dragons attempting to drive a small asteroid towards the planet at the edge of the universe. Others draped in black robes, revealing only writhing snakes or tentacles beneath. Still, others had no physical form, existing only as a whisper deep within the living being's heart. Some wore fresh flower wreaths, appearing beautiful, holding wooden bows and arrows like deities, while others resembled tree-like sea monsters. There were beings that looked like dark vortices filled with gleaming white teeth and tendrils of shadow extending outwards, crowned with disparate heads. Others were blobs of liquid containing all colors. Some seemed... I don't care what some can say, fucking stop wasting my time! Some, fucking so cool. Some were composed of watercolor time, their massive forms slowing everything around them. Others hunched, ancient to the point of loose, wrinkled skin blotched with decay. Some stood loftily, as if holding the sky itself to prevent it from collapsing, yet their abdomens hollow. Upon seeing this, Force's mind flooded with information drawn from Mr. Fool, Hermit, and Lumion. Sequence 2, Web Weaver. Sequence 1, Blade of Fate. Sequence 2, Sinner. Sequence 1, Angel of Redemption. Oh, that's why he calls himself the Angel of Redemption. Makes sense. Sequence 2, Radiant Angel. Sequence 1, Star Dragon. Sequence 2, Great Old One Attendant. Sequence 1, Voice of the Heart. Sequence 2, Cupid. Sequence 1, Leviathan. Sequence 2, Angel of Devouring. Sequence 1, Chaotic Gastric Juices. Sequence 2, Time Giant. Sequence 1, God of Decay. Sequence 2, Supreme, the Supreme or the Broken Pillar. And Sequence 1, Tree God. It's not over yet. We still have work to do for Satigio. She had recently advanced a Key of Stars, stepped out of the protective zone, and appeared above the habitable planet. She raised her hand, unveiling a vast, dreamlike starry sky to cover the entire protective zone, sealing it in a barrier. The coming battle would not be allowed to affect the interior of the protective space, nor could they infiltrate it. No sooner had Force finished this than another figure appeared. Saint Dabomachi, the Pope of the Evernight Church. You hadn't gone to help? He had now transformed into a dozen-meter-tall giant with elongated limbs, grayish-blue skin, and a single vertical eye. Hand of God, Sequence 1 of the Warrior Path. Do I have this? I do. Summoning pure, dense light imbued with orange hues, he added another layer of unyielding radiance to Force's seal. As he wielded his protective layer, another figure emerged. William Augustus? The founder of Loan? What? He did not act immediately, raising his head to observe the tug-of-war between disorder and balance, the evolving order of battlefield, and the enemy forces formation. Such decisions cannot afford errors. If situations like mystery weakens here while reality grows stronger were imposed on the enemy outside, employed something akin to a ship used in the Cipher ritual, those rules may end up limiting their own angels. Forrest, as she was about to speak, saw Gio. For me, establishing and maintaining order is fundamentally about protection. Forrest said nothing and smiled, and turned to Franca. I'm not the type to hide behind others, Franca said. At a time like this, every bit of strength counts. Every bit of light helps. Given her personality, how could she not have fantasized about being a savior of humanity? Forrest laughed. Even if you hadn't come, I would have summoned you. Your job is to placate and maintain stability, Forrest said to Anthony. I'll handle Trier, he said. Without waiting for a response, he entered the sea of collective subconscious, his expression heavy yet joyful. How wonderful, this time. I can stabilize the rear for the angels. Back then, I may have been naive and laughable, but I didn't join the army for wealth. I did it to protect my people. Ludwig neither followed Anthony nor immediately left the barrier. Instead, he now held a jewelry box encrusted with countless gemstones. Halfway across the universe, Lumion hurled the box of the Great Old Ones to him. Staring at the two items, Ludwig's expression fluctuated. He gritted his teeth and swallowed the chaotic liquid. Chose his family. Also, Lumion can just throw things across the fucking universe now? Are you telling me Klein and Lumion can just play like a game of baseball from like across the universe? Audrey stood in the sea of collective subconscious, gazing at the drifting light and shadow and listening at the cacophony of voices, as if she were standing at the bustling street corners, feeling the highs and lows of life and the vibrant pulses. With black holes. That's hilarious. No, Klein, you hit it too far. You just destroyed an entire galaxy. There were like 3 trillion beings there. Idiot. We've talked about this. No further than the Andromeda Galaxy. God. She turned her head and smiled at the Susie Audrey stood in the sea of collective subconscious, gazing at the drifting lights and shadows and listening to the cacophony of voices, as if she were standing at the bustling street corner, feeling the highs and lows of life and the vibrant pulses behind it all. She turned to Susie by her side. Your duty is to placate. As she finished speaking, Audrey vanished and reappeared beside Forrest and Gio. But I'm just a dog, Susie muttered. Dude, a dog is set to fucking help all of Backland. The fucking Susie upscale is real, bro. Bam. Alger sat at the edge of the square outside the Church of the Sea God and watched the white doves take flight. Amidst, he heard the voice of children choirs singing. Inside the church, break! Break! Alder couldn't help but smile. New City of Silver. Derek nodded at the now exceptionally gigantic Waite Chermont and said, the door to the light has appeared. This shall be a glorious battle, Waite said. Without further ado, Derek transformed into pure sacred sunlight soaring out of the protective zone like a sun rising to the sky. Seeing the sun ascend, what? Okay, sorry. Seeing the sun, it might have lagged for Yeah, it might have lagged for a quick second. Yeah, I lost 55 frames, so it was gone for like for just under 2 seconds, because 30 frames a second. So it would have lagged for just under 2 seconds, but I should be back. It's buffering I give it like 2 seconds to just get caught up, because when it buffers, it has like lingering effects. Seeing the sun ascend and rise higher into the heavens, Reynat Tynker said to Sharon, "These entities are too hideous. Let us curse them into normalcy." Oh shit, that's so hard. Sharon nodded and watched her teacher vanish, not following, but instead closing her eyes and assessing her own state. Remembering that her teacher had once told her temperance is not about perpetual suppression, about rational understanding and preparing for an explosive moment when it comes. And now the time had come. In the Berserk Sea, aboard the deck of the Future, Katlia looked at Frank Lee, Heath Doyle, Odelov, and Nina. A wave of sentimentality in her heart rose, and when she left the Dawn, her only thought was to grow stronger, build her own fleet, and prove to the Queen, regain recognition. Later, she began to think about leading her own crew, but now her task was to protect this world, to face and fight against the disaster. Perhaps this is the fate of a sage. With that, Katlia dissolved into a complex of knowledge and rushed out of the barrier. She saw 2 similar streams surging from Trier. A sense of peace and quiet settled in her heart. Backlund, in his own home. Emlyn sat quietly in a chair, scared of all that was happening, ready to retreat to his basement and crouch until it was over. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm projecting. I'm sorry. Emlyn sat quietly in his chair, staring at a room full of dolls. This is not that much better, bro. He had already learned that the Sequence 1 beauty goddess characteristic left behind by the ancestor had not been transferred to the current planet. Unavoidable. The other great old dominators was undoubtedly vying fiercely for the Cipher and the uniqueness now, leaving them too preoccupied to deal with Sequence 1 characteristics to the point of personally descending. Once the war was concluded, if Mr. Fool and the other great existences won, the Sequence 1 Archangels or corresponding artifacts that were transferred would naturally remain safe, and if it was the opposite, the pre-prepared measures could be employed cutting losses by ejecting those characteristics, avoiding being targeted again. Oh my god, I'm almost finished my coffee again! But there was an issue. The mother goddess of depravity had not entangled in the war and was distancing herself to acquire new life. The beauty goddess characteristic had been transferred to within. If the beauty goddess characteristic had been transferred into the zone, she may very well have taken time to come here, and all resistance would have been rendered meaningless unless Mr. Fool himself came. As the thought churned, Emlyn stood up, bat wings unfurled, and the wings flapped as Emlyn ascended into the sky, looking down at the ordinary, oblivious sanguine without godhood below. Below, several crimson moonbeams emerged from the coffins and graves following Emlyn. Lone Kingdom, Awa County, Tingen City. Leonard stared at the sky blankly, feeling the events were deviating than what he expected. He reined in his thoughts and addressed the members of the Blackthorn Security Company. "Vacation starts now. Go home." "But Deacon, are we supposed to deal with the possible infiltration of the Blessed of the Evil Gods?" asked someone. "Go home. This is your mission. This is what you must do." They were all confused, but obeyed the command. After all, the protective zone was not the real world. Returning home carried a unique symbolic significance. As they left, Leonard looked up. With his concealment, he could sense one angel after another gathering. Leonard exhaled and closed his eyes, memories of the past flashing through his mind of Magos' visit to the security company. He faded outside the barrier and asked, "Captain, can you see this? We are protecting the world. This time, I'm not alone. Every angel fights alongside me." Leonard's figure materialized outside the seals and barriers of the door pathway when he saw Palaz separate from him. He spotted the ascetic-looking Madame Ariana, and Antigonus, and other angels, And soon Medici said, "Everyone, I want you to join my legion." To become part of the Red of War Legion, combining all the powers of the angels into one unified force rather than fighting individually. Leonard did not refuse. Franca had heard Medici's words but didn't respond immediately. Not resistance, but a thought that occurred to her. Judging by the changes in the box of the Great Old One, Lumen should already be the origins of disaster. With Jenna and Aurora revived, meaning they are a great existence. And I'm a member of their team, an ally of the essence of war. I wonder how extensive the range of the Legion is for a great existence. Symbolically, it should be the whole universe, no? If I'm within the range, should I share Lumen in their rank, becoming a smaller scale origin of disaster to wreak havoc? With this thought, Franca sought to borrow power, but failed. Is the range not enough? Or is the symbolism currently disrupted somehow? Franca reluctantly chose to join Medici's legion. Bug, I'm not getting emotional for Leonard. I'm getting emotional for the captain. That even now, a mere Sequence 7 is remembered by a great old one and an angel. An angel is going, there's a very good chance I die here today. And he goes, Captain, to a mere mid-sequencer. And he says, are you watching? As if still following his example, because he's still, in his mind, he's going, I'm still not as great as he was. That's what I'm smiling at, okay? That's what I'm getting emotional at. Don't judge me. In Medici's brows, a crimson banner had manifested. He had long completed the sacrifice to the essence of war, and undoubtedly received its feedback. Otherwise, even with two sets of weather warlock characteristics, the range of a legion's influence would not suffice to connect all the angels here. There were simply too many. But now, with the backing of the essence of war, he could handle this. Now, feeling the agreement and participation of one angel after another, Medici looked at the outer deities, angels assembling, and laughed, his expression disdainful and solemn. Violet flames in his hands. Once I followed the Lord, saving humanity and ushering him in his glory. Now I still remain. I will continue to protect it all. Alright, last chapter for today, I think. This will be 15 and then 15 for tomorrow, right? When the vast clusters of suns exploded, tearing apart planets and pulling all matters to themselves, the pervasive grey fog appeared. Within it stood Klein, wearing a half-top hat and a black trench coat. His figure distorted as he faced the supernova dominator. At the same time, Klein sensed an almost untouchable shadow emerging, scrutinizing the spirit body threads, preparing to interfere. High-dimensional overseer, capable of countering abilities like parasitism, marionettes, and blink. He wielded the corresponding symbol, dimensionality. From higher or lower dimensions, spirit body threads were tangible and real that could be touched. Blink only allowed for movement on a small scale, while those parasitides were bound together in one entity, rendered the unique nature of the Lord of Mysteries avatars ineffective. Combat against the high-dimensional overseer could only rely on Klein's true body. Thus, as long as the battlefield contained high-dimensional overseer, Klein could only leverage the symbolism of a pillar while contending with one additional Great Old One. But in a one-on-one situation, the dimensionality symbolism of the dimensional overseer did not suppress the Lord of Mysteries, which included space and time. These forces mutually countered each other, just as the King of Space and Time could hinder the Lord of Dimensions from freely traversing dimensions. Klein could rely on symbolism like foolishness to turn the tide against the Overseer. Klein couldn't kill him, but he could defeat him, banish him, and make him suffer losses. Apart from the high-dimensional Overseer, three entities could disrupt the Lord of Mysteries. the monarch of decay, the inextinguishable ravings, and the primordial hunger. The monarch of decay and certain symbols of decay and certain death made it so the death of an avatar equal the death of the main body. Inextinguishable ravings seemed to have his own origin with the residual psyche of the original creator. It was the source of all ravings, capable of ignoring the interference of marionettes, avatars, and afterimages to project his voice into the Sephiroth and uniqueness, implanting his madness and intent. Primordial hunger symbolized the instinct of convergence. Through this, he could pull Klein's true body to his side. Furthermore, if he devoured an avatar or marionette, he could absorb and erase the corresponding ability. Without these four, Klein would undoubtedly be able to hold off the remaining four on his own. While he may not receive his decisive victory, he certainly would not lose or allow them to disrupt other battlefields. Really? COI is not among them. If the mother were still complete as a source of curses, she would have been capable of cursing avatars and marionettes to directly curse the true body. But she had lost that aspect. The uniqueness of the chain and her two abominations were sealed by Klein, and the tenebrous world resisted her influence. A more reality-oriented dominator like Supernova Dominator could rely on symbols and concepts like density, gravity, and attraction to influence space-time. But for the Lord of Mysteries, who controlled chains and turns falsehood to truth, and vice versa, mere interference was sufficient to stall him without engaging directly. The Circle of Inevitability wielded the symbols of past, present, and future, cycle and destiny, which could impact Avatar's marionettes' ability to blink, but was countered by Klein's combination of this concept of King of Space and Time, Beacon of Destiny and Error. If he lacked any one of these symbols, the Circle of Inevitability would have a chance to reverse the suppression or even gain the upper hand, but Klein had all three. Beacon of Destiny countered Cycle, and Error countered Destiny. King of Space and Time countered Past, Present, and Future. The goddess of fate symbolism primarily centered on the domain of fate. Rock, paper, scissors, but Klein is the fire. The particularly conscious manipulation, which made her an appealing opponent for the Beacon of Destiny's foolishness symbolism. As for her other symbolism, eternal life, Klein had no intention of killing her, so he didn't really care. Based on the prior intel, gathering divinations and prophecies, Klein had long understood which entities to intercept and which to redirect. His hope was to hold off 3 to 4 on his own, creating opportunities for breakthroughs on other battlefields. How could one guide the unwanted Great Old Dominator to places while keeping those intended for containment? Beyond employing fool and deceit, one must have a general understanding of the goals of these Dominators. But Klein is rock, paper, and scissors. High-dimensional Overseer desired Sephiroth related to rules, order, and space and time. Through divination and prophecy, Klein deduced he sought either the Nation of Disorder or the River of Eternal Darkness. If they concentrated their efforts to press the Lord of Mysteries back into his coffin, the High-dimensional Overseer would likely seek to accommodate the uniqueness of the door and error pathways in control of Sephiroth Castle. Unextinguishable Ravings would likely covet the Knowledge More and aim to control the Chaos Sea, accommodating the uniqueness of the Hangman, White Tower, and Visionary. Primordial Hunger would not miss any opportunities related to Chaos or Primordial. He will likely wanted the City of Calamity, ingesting but not digesting the Chaos Sea, absorbing the uniqueness of the Hangman and others. But Klein suspected he may lose control over his convergence instinct and swallow the Chaos Sea directly. The Monarch of Decay was simple, either the City of Calamity or the River of Eternal Darkness, though he could only choose one. The Mother Tree of Desire would prioritize reclaiming the tenebrous world and the uniqueness and sequence 1 characteristics. Circle of Inevitability coveted the Key of Light most, but the City of Calamity and the River of Eternal Darkness were within his scope. At these points, shouldn't these fucks fight each other? And be like, okay, well, listen, we all, like 3 of us want the same thing. Let's kill each other and see who at least wants to go after it, because one of us is gonna get it, and we're just gonna fucking fight afterwards. What's the point? Additionally, similar to High Dimensional Overseer, if Lord of Mysteries were defeated in a joint effort, the Circle of Inevitability would not shy away from seizing control of Sephiroth Castle and accommodating the uniqueness of the Fool and Error pathway. Dude, COI with Fool and Error would be the most broken shit in the universe, what? Supernova Dominator's goals were harder to pinpoint. Klein speculated that he desired the City of Calamity to embody the symbolism of unique catastrophe, the knowledge more to enrich his star systems and civilization, and the Nation of Disorder to complete the order and rules beyond celestial mechanics. Furthermore, he was likely interested in the Chaos Sea and the uniqueness of the Sun and Storm. These 8 are the survivors of the Battle Royale. Oh, hold on. That's actually kind of goated, Dr. Z. Hold on, thank you. The Goddess of Fates similarly prioritized the Key of Light. However, if Sephiroth Castle was left vacant, her goals would align with the Circle of Inevitability. As for the Chaos Sea and the associated uniqueness of the White Tower and Visionary, Klein felt there was a certain probability of her interest. Having roughly understood this, Klein had a plan for what to do. First, he did not graft the Western continent's Buddhist kingdom onto or the Tenebrous world to somewhere near him, proactively detaching himself from the astral world. Suddenly, at an infinite height overlooking the world, Klein appeared. He was extraordinarily immense, towering over all creation. Raising his right hand and snapped his fingers. Within this, the grey-white fog enveloped the spirit world, covering the entire universe's spirit world. Supernova Dominator and High Dimensional Overseer and the other Dominators lost their connection to the spirit world and could no longer exert any influence over it. The Lord of Mysteries, the Dominator of the spirit world, a direct utilization of his pillar symbolism. At that moment on, no creature could enter the spirit world without Klein's explicit permission. All their abilities and symbols were rendered useless that were related to the spirit world. The 3 pillars differed significantly in how they wielded their symbols. For example, the Mother Goddess of Depravity, as the Dominator of Reality, could not seal off reality to prevent unauthorized entry or expel all adversaries. Such actions were impossible. She could only impose his continuous weakening effects on target within reality. On the other hand, reality was the foundation of the universe. Unless everything ended, it would eternally exist. Thus, the Mother possessed the characteristic of indestructibility to never perish. As long as she wished, she could not be displaced or sealed. While the Lord of Mysteries sealed the spirit world, LEMMiNO waited for his target to appear. Since he was not yet dead or collapsing, it was time to execute the next part of the plan, to take initiative and devour a Great Old One. If the Great Old Ones could absorb another Sephiroth to approach pillar status, so could he. Do you lack Sephiroth within yourself? Whatever you can do, I can do. As for the indestructibility of your psyche or potential consequences, I'm already dead, so why do I care? LEMMiNO had long identified his target for this purpose and made the preparations in advance, reinstating the title of Malady God within the Sikh Church. Previously, the Malady God referred to the Monarch of Decay. Isn't that one of the ones that heavily counters Klein? So he's gonna get rid of one of the ones that counters Klein. Peek. Alright. All done. Dude, 4-hour stream yesterday, 4-hour stream today, probably a 4-hour stream tomorrow. We're so fucked. Oh, I'm so tired. This was so stupid. This was so stupid. I could have just did it like so chill. I could have did it so chill and just stretched it out another week, and it would have been so much easier. Oh, I'm so stupid. I'm stupid and small, bro. Yeah, same time tomorrow, Dr. Z. Same time. I'll schedule it earlier so we have it. Last stream tomorrow. Ah, we made it. Hey, I can do this again tomorrow. We'll be okay. These are fun chapters, though. These are fun chapters. And we're done tomorrow. We had so much fun, Dr. Z. But hey, I'll still be here. I'm thinking of... I'll still be here. I'm thinking we read Shadow Slave and Reverend Insanity side by side. Am I... I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. I'm not saying for sure. Maybe. And I can look at the wiki after tomorrow. Let's go. Okay, hold on. What do you got? Genuinely, bro. Oh my god. Deep Sea Embers, but you only have 5 viewers. I'm not doing that ever again, Sid. I did that once. I did it for almost 7 months. I ate shit. I had no viewers, no fucks given. No one give a shit. But I streamed every day for 7 months, okay? I proved that that I did it. But I'm not gonna do that again. I'm done. Dude, genuinely. Then I'll read it off stream, Chris, but I'm not reading it on stream. That's like, I can't do that again. It's just such a waste. Trying to box a pillar. Dude, genuinely. The goat said, "The tyrant does not simply accommodate." True. Mother of Learning. I told Dr. Z I'll read it myself and then I can do like review streams on it. Like, hey, like 10, 20 chapters in. Okay, well now let's just like the first half hour, the last half hour of a stream, let's talk about it and that sort of thing. We can do that. But I'm not gonna like specifically do streams just for that because it's just not gonna get anywhere. Wait, mate. What the fuck was Leodero thinking? There's an incomplete awe about him dive bombing Mother Goddess of Depravity. It's not a long story. Well, yeah, like again, I don't know anything about it, Dr. Z, but like, you know, whatever. Like whenever like, okay, I feel like, okay, like stuff happened, now let's talk about it. We can do that, right? His misogyny instinct couldn't bear to see the pinnacle of women. True. That's so peak. Alright, guys. Tomorrow, the journey of 1,000 steps comes to an end. I hope to see all of you guys there. Thank you so much for coming today and, you know, in the past. And I hope to see you guys there one more time and hopefully in the future as well. Alright, guys. With that, Wiz out.